It's time to refinance your life. Ooh, we are having some. Here we go. Interesting. All right. We're having an echo, folks. That's just part of our. There we go. We figured it out. Let's take it from the top, folks. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. I didn't see that we actually did our first open. You know what, though? I'm so glad y'all saw that. It'll be better now. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Hello to Tennessee. Audio is back. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. You know what, folks? I'm so glad you saw that mess just now because that is exactly the shift I am dealing with this whole week energetically. It is a crazy, crazy week. And let me just pull up my notes because I got a little bit lost here from everything we are doing. We have a very powerful week. First of all, welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your psychic astrologer, Sensei Christopher Witecki, your personal guide to ascension week after week. We're coming out of a Mercury retrograde, and we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X.com, formerly known as Twitter. And now we actually are also on Instagram. If you're in the super chat, be kind and tell us where you are coming from. I know somebody did this already. And say hello to everyone. Hello, Stephanie Whittaker. Hello, Noelle Way. Hello, Burgundy. So nice to have you in. Christina Kelly, one of our super chat friends. Neptune Girl, Iggy. Thank God it is Friday. Oh, we have a Wisconsin tease in the house. Wow. Okay, Sally, that's awesome. And Sandra O'Collar. Sydney, so nice to see you. And Nikki as well. So we got our whole family here, folks. If you notice, it's been a heck of a week energetically. That's why I'm taking us to the tropics for today's show. I'm wearing a sweater in the tropics, and it's going to be a powerful week ahead. First of all, it's time to refinance your self-worth. As we wrap up chapter 1 of the Sun in Taurus, we'll be talking about that. Mars will cross over Neptune on Monday. That's going to light destiny on fire. And Pluto will station retrograde on Thursday, which is going to be a little shaky, and I'm going to put out a little bit of an alert. And later tonight on Astro Mingle, we're going to talk to someone who knows how to talk. Host of the estYou podcast, author of Get a PhD in You, and founder of the Light Designer Coach Academy. We have Julie Resler is here tonight to talk with us on Astro Mingle. It's going to be great. There she is up in the palm trees. Thank you very much. We're going to skip the cold open, and instead, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is from Saturday, April 27th to Friday, May 3rd, 2024. First, looking ahead at the weekend moodcast. Over the weekend, you're finally wrapping up what you are worth, and it's intuitive, and it's going to stick. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and immersed. Step 7 means that Neptune rules the day. This is a day where you are ultimately manifesting your faith and realizing your spiritual self-worth lessons. You're overcoming any karmic patterns you have when it comes to self-worth and coming into a new spiritual truth. And with the moon in Sagittarius, you're also rewriting your story day to day. On Sunday, it's sunny and wishful. Step 8 means that Saturn will rule this day. This will be much more of a conservative day, a day of taking responsibility for things, at least on the inside. You're manifesting the consent to what you want to do and committing to what you really feel is worthy within you. And as the moon crosses the galactic center, your heart feels committed to this future. And then once the moon moves into Capricorn, you become certain about your feelings. Moving on to the 5-day week ahead. Over the week, you're going to take that new commitment to self-worth and then explore how you can spend it in daily life. On Monday, it's sunny and diligent. Step 9 indicates that Mars rules the day. You're feeling charged up. You're ready to make some change. You'll be investing your self-worth into some sort of life transformation. Your faith may be a little tested as you move forward officially with something you feel destined about. Venus will enter into Taurus, which will cool things off, but also make you seek security. But with the moon in Capricorn, it's all about business. On Tuesday, it's sunny and surveying. Step 10 means it's a Grandmaster day of Taurus, and so Earth rules the day. You are manifesting on this day your new self-worth or self-esteem, and really feel yourself coming together on the inside. The moon shifts from Capricorn to Aquarius, so you start to feel a new you on the inside, and once Mars enters into Aries, you have less patience with yourself. On Wednesday, it's sunny and chill. Step 11 indicates that Chiron rules the day. This is a day of coming into your integrity and authenticity. You'll be hyper aware of your body and your health, and you're coming into a new self-worth alignment with daily life. Now, you're also starting to feel what's not in alignment in your outer life. And with Venus squaring Pluto, you're also reconciling your self-worth and where your emotional boundaries live day to day. So it's going to be basically a day of coming together that may start off a little insecure, but ends up feeling in your alignment. On Thursday, it's sunny and pioneering. Step 12 indicates that Jupiter now rules the day. We're in the second chapter of the Sun in Taurus. And now it's time to take that new self-worth and begin to explore where you can spend it in daily life. In other words, where you can upgrade the value of daily life. So on this day, I think you're feeling hopeful and optimistic. You're expanding your life's investments. And Pluto stations retrograde, which means you're no longer being pushed to raise your vibration. And that also means it's not as easy to protect your vibration. And then on Friday, it's going to be sunny and epic. Step 13 means that Uranus rules the day. You are going to feel like taking your investments to the next level. You may have some good news that comes in as well that opens up some new doors. You're manifesting a little disruption, but that can be a good thing. It's time to take whatever you want and see where it goes. Mars will sextile Pluto, so now you're reconciling your ego and strength with where the vibe needs to be within you. And with the moon in Pisces, this may feel all too familiar or karmic.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
If you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, seriousjoy.tv. Hit the like button, and if you don't mind, please like our program, because if you do, it sends the magic of the algorithm out to other people who love astrology. Be sure to hit the bell button so you're notified. Namaste Today Live is sponsored by the Unite the Light Lightworker Summit. We are doing a call for tickets, especially people who live in the Austin area. If you live in Texas, I got to tell you, and looking at the 5-year plan for this, we won't be in Texas again for a while. Take advantage and come to Unite the Light. It's on May 18th and 19th. We're going to be at the Renaissance Austin in Austin, Texas. It's all about inspiration, uniting the light. We've got show and tell. We've got an enchanted dinner. We have panels. And we have lots of different activities to get to know one another and come together. It's at unitethelight.love for tickets. Please show up while supplies last. We're very excited about this. I also want to put out there a reminder that I've got a new show on Monday nights. Maybe you caught it last week. It is called LOL Leading Out Loud. It has 4 light workers and what we call a shift show. We look at the upcoming headlines and we look at the current events going on in the world, and we sort of put our superpowers around it. So we did a debut show last Monday, but technically this Monday is going to be the show. All sorts of interesting headlines coming in. I'll be teasing this at the end. All right, without further ado, let's move on to our weekly planets and transits. Look at those happy cows. I'm enjoying that little video. Those happy cows hanging out. I am a happy cow. I'm a Taurus. It's the Taurus season. I'm excited to be alive and be on this planet right now. My goodness, though, I got to tell you, let's just talk one-to-one. First of all, welcome. So nice to have you here. I am honored to be in this seat. By the way, this is my 18th year of being a live astrologer. Well, being an on-camera astrologer. When I started this, I called it a stand-up astrologer. And that's because when I was standing up, now I'm sitting down, so I can't really do that. But it's been a pleasure here to be of soul service. And I have to tell you that this moment is a very interesting moment for us in human consciousness. I want to give you sort of a snapshot of where I see where that we are, and I try to do this every week and sort of catch us up to things, but it's such a profound moment. I've been doing a lot of end of the month sort of videos that I do. I have the mega monthly golden reports coming out on May 1st. I just met with my Diamond Egg Council, basically my club of manifestors. We went over the month ahead. I already did the mega monthly on Serious Joy. So I've been going over this month ahead. And what I've come to realize is that this is a grand I manifest month in May coming up. And of course, it's going to move into May next week. So this is my chance to set you up for May before May begins on this show. A grand I manifest. And I go into some deep details, these other longer format programs about what grand I manifest is. But in essence, just to keep it very simple, the fact that we have Jupiter and Uranus coming together, which they conjoined last April 20th, last Saturday, that was, I'm not sure what exactly was hitting me, but I saw it in me. I saw it in everyone around me. Everyone took a hit a little bit. It was either that conjunction of Jupiter conjunct Uranus. It was the full moon in Scorpio that was on Monday. That was quite a zinger. Or is Mercury stationing direct? I don't know. Like when there's so many crazy concept, things overlapping, I have to really, taste and dive deep into the conscious to see what it was. But it certainly was a major irritation. I'll say that. Probably the full moon following the eclipse, an irritation to bring the last part of you that is resisting or holding on or trying to make a big deal out of something in the past, which I guess is holding on. Whatever that was, it rose to the surface. And at the same time, we're in the early degrees of Taurus. And I've been talking about this, that we had Jupiter enter Taurus a year ago till now. And that has been teaching us, where we have self-worth issues. And my joke about Jupiter is its key phrase is, did you know? Did you know that taxes your life? Did you know you're giving yourself away there? Did you know that you are still holding on to the past, so you're never going to grow? So Jupiter spent a whole year of did you know, did you know, did you know, did you know, all these did you knows. And now as we come into the sun in Taurus, and that's been this last week, our heart is now trying to sort of put on this new self-worth. We've studied where it is that we don't give ourselves credit. We've studied where we give our power away. We've studied where we undermine our own self. It's all, in my opinion, due to trauma and karma. So there's even no judgment here. Okay. The reason why we've been stumbling is because we've been subconsciously wounded. And basically part of the big waking up is that you're starting to realize you have a lot of subconscious issues that sabotage your waking life. So if you want to go even further back to the did you know self-worth, we've been cleaning our karma from Neptune in Pisces in 2012. We've been cleaning and taking responsibility for karma with Saturn in Pisces since 2023. And so we find ourselves in this moment where we have faced the boogeyman inside of us, basically. Finally, we're not being haunted by the boogeyman. Then we go into Aries in the Grand I Am, the first 3 weeks of this month of April. And it's like that solar eclipse at 19 degrees on April 8th. I was there in Texas. I felt that energy. It was this grand, like, I am no longer sick. I am no longer the loser. I am no longer the one left behind, whatever. And so we've come into this brand new version of ourselves. So now that we come into Taurus, you have it all coming together, which is what the step system teaches us. Step 10, which is Taurus, is when it all comes together and gels into something new. So this Taurus season is literally the rebirth of ourself. It's the rebirth, the new 2.0, 3.0, 5.0. I don't know what version you're running, but I know that this particular version of you is the brightest, the lightest, the smartest, the wisest. And you may say, oh, of course, because of age. Oh, no. I mean, you can look in times of the earth where people didn't grow up or mature at all. Okay. If you look, we have gone very far. There's been quite a distance in growth since 2020 just alone. So this really is, and I've been speculating on this in the little moments that I have with myself because I'm so busy right now with everything going on. This really is the first time humankind, a piece of humankind, not all of humankind, I mean, has healed from our trauma and restored ourselves onto the path of enlightenment or higher vibration 5D frequency. I believe the reason why Atlantis is such a horrible wound and Lemuria is because not only did we have an ancient civilization that completely fell, but we are high close to heaven and we fell to hell. It wasn't like being on earth and falling to hell. It was being in heaven on earth and falling into a hell. So this is what the human race has been really recovering from for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, reincarnating on, shaking off the karma, shaking off the karma. We've basically been asleep until this year since Atlantis. It's all been just a nightmare or subconscious triggers. The wars, the aggressions, the horrible things that happen were all from the shadow living in our subconscious that we did not have access to. This particular moment is a moment where we now have access to this knowledge. So when you bring it all together in Taurus, this is literally like Earth is Humpty Dumpty and it fell off a wall and we put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's what I feel. This is the moment. So it's a powerful moment. And I don't know, I, for one, who've been at this for many lifetimes and very impressed with this moment, and I didn't really notice it until just recently. What it means for you, my friend, and I want to just set the stage, is that each soul on the planet has a grand I manifest. So now that you have come into this new version of you that is squeaky clean, sure, there's some cobwebs, there's some things that have to be cleaned still. There's still some little issues. There's some ticks. You know what I mean? From like when you hear from a person or whatever. I'm not saying we're completely normal yet, but we see the light. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. We can tell now that, oh my God, it's possible that I actually will be free of something that's haunted me my whole life or haunted me, since childhood or since my first marriage or whatever. All right. So in this moment right now, with the sun in the early degrees of Taurus, you are now owning what you are worth. And the interesting part of this is the weather we've just had. It's kind of messy. People are owning how we're worth. I think to some degree, we're owning what we're worth because that full moon in Scorpio drew a really harsh line a few days ago. I think we're owning what we're worth because Mercury retrograde in Aries really revealed all the flaws in logic where things were just crazy illogical and behavior that was crazy illogical. That was one of the things I noticed is a lot of people in the retrograde eclipse, full moon in Scorpio, that triple whammy of slap, slap, slap. A lot of people, I think, saw behavior that they have, especially in relationships, the way they behave. They sort of were just, it was on display. And for the first time you saw, oh my God, look at how I behave when this happens and that happens. And that's sort of, that's trained behavior based on trying to survive, based on dealing with the traumas. So as we go into this Taurus season, we have the capacity to finally manifest stuff without having shadows of our shadow in it. So when you manifested relationships before, it had the elements of the shadow in it. The shadow meaning the unknown, not evil. The dark, the pain, the traumas, the painful memories. Because we hadn't faced them, we had been law of attracting versions of them this whole time within our partnerships, our creations, our jobs, our relationships to our children. There's been all these sort of freckles of our situation. As you manifest now, whether it's something as small as a birthday party all the way up to a cruise on a ship, now you have seen your spots and now you are going to likely manifest without those situations in your creation. So point simple, for the first time, we're starting to manifest clean and free. Oh, Lord, we lost our picture there. Oh, wow. We're having a lot of energy stuff going on. I lost picture there for a second. So, deja vu, someone saying, yeah, we're in a vortex, y'all. I don't know if you felt it. Oh, it's good on your end. Yeah. I lost picture there for a second. I completely lost everything. Woo. I'm thinking of the song, The Twilight Zone. So, so first of all, we're manifesting clean. That's the first thing. That's why it's a grand I manifest. Like, this is the first time I'm going to try a functional relationship. This is the first time I'm going to find a functional job situation. Now, when I say we, I mean those of us who are watching this right now. I mean, people are at different levels for as how far up and how cleaned out and whatnot they are. The point is, one of our diving teams, some of us who have been doing the digging, some of us have been doing the climbing to the higher reality, some of us have seen the light and we're like, it's worth it. Keep it up. So part of us have come to realize, like, hey, keep going. So everyone has their different part of their timeline. But everyone still is more grand and more cleaned out. Even if a person is completely not awake, not paying attention or whatever, they're being moved along by society, seeing their issues, seeing their patterns, etc. So I think everyone, even someone who doesn't necessarily pay attention to this, they're growing regardless. So you can't really lose. But I think if you're really trying to pay attention, boy, you can go by leaps and bounds right now. And that brings me to the second part of the Grand I Manifest. It's a Grand I Manifest month because you're going to manifest the grandest you you've ever manifested before. It's amazing. So yay, that's amazing. But then God universe brings that Jupiter Uranus conjunction at 21 degrees. Okay. That happened on April 20th. Now Uranus is at 22 degrees. So now what's happening is God universe is raising the ceiling of what's possible. And these two energies have not come together like this since World War II. I blame the bomb. I blame, jet engines, television, all of the inventions that came out of World War II. I have a strong argument, if I want to sit around and debate with astrologers one day, that was all Jupiter conjunct Uranus and Taurus, that it was all those two forces coming together. Jupiter is all the collective conscious and the needs, and Uranus is the dimensions and the technology, and Taurus is making it real. So the point is that right now we have this incredibly fertile nuclear manifesting energy. Those two planets together are manifesting at a nuclear level. And they just went like quasar last week. They just went to like where they started singing a high note in the opera house last week. And they are singing and they are twinkling. And now Uranus is going past 22 degrees and climbing higher, which basically means consciousness. God universe was like, up, you can build to here. And now God conscious is saying, up, you can actually now build way higher. There are higher dimensions. And that's what Uranus is doing, is taking our manifestation abilities higher. What does that look like in practical sense? Well, let's look at it on a national level. On a national level, AI, electrified things, we're seeing all these different technologies coming forward that, like the nuclear bomb, like Oppenheimer, for instance. Interesting, by the way, that Oppenheimer was a Oscar-winning film the year that we have the same Jupiter-Uranus conjunction as the time Oppenheimer built the bomb. That's pretty fascinating to me, but I digress. This amazing nuclear energy of manifestation on a global level means, wow, we're going to see some technology we've never seen. We're going to see banking systems reinvented because Taurus is the banking systems. We're going to see inventions that we never thought we would see. AI is going to speed up how we think and how much we consciously grow. So, having that AI just assist us with, here's everything you need to know. Here's everything you need to know. Here's everything you need to know. The internet was like, let me look it up and find out what the answer is. AI is like, here's the answer, and you ask it a question. So the point is that for the globe, this is what brings the new era. This is what brings the spiritual technology. This is what brings the material technology. For you, it means that this is a moment where you can actually manifest wilder than your life ever has, wilder than any lifetime that you've ever have been in. Imagine if you were a shipbuilder in World War II. And what you could have done under those circumstances of potential growth. For each person watching this show right now, you yourself have the potential to manifest something way beyond what you would have believed was possible. Let me just say that again. Way beyond what you would have believed was possible. When I say believe, that's a big part of it, because that's the Jupiter and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So how do we approach this? We stay open. But then when you add the two parts that I've talked about together, okay, that first of all, you're cleaned out and you are manifesting the least karma that you've ever manifested in your lifetimes ever, most likely. If you're at the very, cutting, bleeding edge of what I'm describing, because I do believe that there are people who are cutting, bleeding edges at this. And I do believe that there are people who are just now finding, just now starting to wake up. So there's a whole spectrum. But for those who are aware, we not only have that you're manifesting clean, we have your manifesting clean next to this sort of quasar nuclear manifestation generator of Jupiter conjunct Uranus. So you have this moment where humans are healed and we have a supercharger when it comes to making things happen, this super manifester. This is, I hope everyone followed this tonight because I'm getting kind of deep, but I'm also trying to explain the gravity, literally, of this particular moment. There is immense gravity. I have often wondered, especially since 2020, I've seen the earth going down a bad path. I've seen it gone down a bad path with health. We're sicker than we've ever been. Nutrition. We have more weight issues and more health issues than we've ever been with our food. Our food supply is like being squeezed off. Like all the issues that are happening right now. 5G radiation, things look bad. They look like they weren't going anywhere good. It looked like that bacteria was starting to win the race and begin to overwhelm the healthy cells. That's what it looked like it was happening, at least for a second there. But now that I see this particular month and what God has set up, we're here in the final moment, right before the earth makes some major power decisions, which will be this coming election in the United States. The United States is a symbol of where we'll be electing in the future across the world as well. Just in the final hour, we're talking the last lap where we have this power election that's going to really determine where a lot of geopolitical lines are. The human race finishes off their karma with themselves, creates a grand I am, starts to create a grand I manifest, and basically then has it multiplied by like a manifest, quasar. Oh, that's how God plans to do it. Is, where I get to, I'm like, oh my goddess, I was getting worried there for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, well, here's like an advantage that God Universe has brought for us. So this is a very exciting time. And I think it's a great race. It's a big, it is basically smoking the bandit, and the stakes are, where the majority of the timelines are going to operate. I do believe that there's a quantum thing here where what we are doing is we are technically exiting one timeline and going on to another. That's technically, I think, what's happening. But in your own personal, driver's seat, this comes down to you really making the best of who you are, and in your authenticity, calling in what you want to create in this amazing sandbox we call life. This sandbox here, we're going to make a sandcastle here on earth. That's what manifestation is. We come down to this awesome sandcastle and we make sandcastles, and eventually the waves actually wash them away, or it gets bought out, or it gets, broken in a war. So it's all temporary anyways, but we are at a moment where we can now make something pretty amazing. And I'm not even talking about what happens in June. Okay. June begins the summer of love. I started talking about that today a little bit in one of my sessions, and God is going to put us in a bit of a spell over the summer. It looks like we're going to be in a spell. And that spell is basically an elixir to get our imagination going. If I were to, try to bank on what was God thinking when the planets did this at this moment, it's like once you start to see how potent you are, it's like basically once you realize that you can have anything, you then go, well, what do I really want? You're not quite sure what you really want when you realize you can have anything. And so that's kind of what May and June is. May is the grand I manifest. You become clear in this month, like, yeah, I can do it. I can make this happen. And then in June, when Jupiter goes into Gemini on May 25th, and the sun's in Gemini, and the sun and Venus are conjoining for 10 straight days in the start of the month, we're going to be falling in love with ideas. We're going to have fireworks going off, and enjoy this summer, by the way. Plan to have a joyful summer because it is a rest moment, it is a creative moment, and plan to make the best out of that little bit of vacay here. Now I know why my guides want to do this little beach tropical paradise, because we need to manifest this paradise into our life by calling it in with our grand I manifest. And this month I actually call the grand I manifest, and the subplot of the month, not the week, is the start of a new conversation. And that new conversation that starts this month is with yourself. So the fun part is you start to realize that you can build everything in your life that you want. And we've always known this, It's the fact that we're just step 10, finally putting it all together. We've known it, but we put it down, we pick it back up. We heard it on, on The Secret, we put it down, we picked it back up. We heard it from Bashar, we put it down, we pick it. So we constantly, we know this, but we're at this point where all the things are coming together where I'm not distracted by my past life wounds. I'm no longer flinching from, my ego, and I'm realizing anything's possible, and God is throwing down, a double or nothing Jupiter Uranus conjunction in Taurus for the first time since 1938. That's pretty powerful, right? That's a moment. And then a summer of love, kind of paradise. And then come September, shifts going down. We're going to have to regroup and see what happens. So how's that big picture come down to a daily picture or a weekly picture? Let's break it down for you. The theme of the week is banking on victory. Banking on victory. So when I say banking on victory, I mean that you are banking on yourself and you are placing your bets on yourself that you will be victorious. So the self-worth that you gain, you turn around and you reinvest in yourself. You go, I'm worth $100. Okay, I bet $100 I could be $1,000. Oh, I bet $1,000 on me that I can be $1,000,000. I bet $1,000,000 on me I can be $100,000,000. And strangely enough, once you fixed the broken self-worth, and you then have like, yep, I'm valuable. Well, then using your wizard magic, you can just keep multiplying that value. And you can be infinitely valued to where you walk into a room and you go, I'm infinitely valuable. I'd like to take out a load. Or I'd like to do business with you. And there's something in our soul or our energy knows, this guy, he's either nuts, he's either batshit crazy, or he is worth, or she is worth exactly what they're saying they're worth. So it's all a conscious game down here in this virtual reality game we call life. And you decide with your consciousness, you bank on your victory. And that's what's going to happen this week with the sun. We're going to say, all right, I'm betting on me. I'm going to bet on me. Yep, I'm going to bet on me. That horse can win, or whatever, succeed, retire, whatever your goals might be. The subplot of the week is mobilizing the movement, So we're not going to sit around and just dream about this on a cloudy day, laying on the beach. It's time to hit the runway hard. It's time for the rubber to hit the road. Mercury is direct in Aries. Chop, chop, chop. You're basically going to go into light speed where things are going to be a blur because life is about to slingshot forward so fast right now that you and I won't even really catch up until the summer of love. And then even in the summer of love, we're all going to be off in our own minds, off in our own paradise, checking in now and then with things. So just hear it now. It's about to get super busy and not slow down till August. Okay. So you got to mobilize this movement, get this thing moving. Don't sit around. You're better off doing it and selling it, doing it and failing than not doing. Okay. Because the experience of trying is priceless in essence. All right. And then the question of the week is, what cuts must be made? What cuts must be made? We're frankly carrying way too much spiritual junk in our trunk. We've got emotional baggage. We got a lot of things we don't need anymore. It's become cluttered. We become emotional hoarders. That came up in one of my sessions this week, emotional hoarders. We become emotional hoarders. We've held on to all these emotional wounds and all these emotional situations, and it's just time to let it go and let it flow and release anything that is emotional baggage. It just, if you're like, I can't get over that, then say to yourself, I want to get over that. I want that to be gone. I want this to be gone. I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to feel that anymore. But also what cuts should be made is maybe I'm going to cut sugar. I myself, strangely enough, I'm down to black coffee. I'm not crazy about the taste of black coffee. It's funny. And I have a colleague who also did this, but my guides are just like all the honey, all the, almond milk. I'm at this point where I'm just like, let's cut out all these additives, what cuts must be made, what's slowing you down, what's costing you too much money, what's insanity that can't stop, right? So it makes some cuts. You want to be at this stage, because we're transitioning from one timeline to another, it's almost like if you onboard something, something has to go. That's minimum. But I think in a preferred reality, and I'm talking about through the month of Taurus, if something comes, two things have to go. so that you end up 50% lighter by the end of the month. And you could also, by the way, it doesn't have to be has to go for life, on the back burner, cold storage until next year, this time on hiatus. It can be on hold. But if your consciousness is too spread, you're considering too many variables, you're manifesting slow like a whale. You're not manifesting limber, Jack be limber, Jack be quick. You're slow and everything's growing slow and people are just passing you by, you know. And really what that is it's not greed, it's insecurity. That you have to grab it all right now or you're not going to get it later. But the truth is, if you can focus your consciousness and cut everything that doesn't matter and just focus on what does matter, woo, you just take off so much faster. And in this very moment of light work, I mean, you get way ahead in that conscious territory. I do think it's going to be a gold rush, what I call the dot love economy. And I'll be talking about this at Unite the Light, the dot love economy. I think there's a whole new dot love economy that's going to be born, and it's going to move at the speed of light. So you want to be light yourself and not heavy. And those birds of a feather will flock together. Let's bring up the planets, shall we? I'm just going to speak to Sarah. Sarah, can we please bring up the planets? In backstage, and I guess no. She's probably digging. She's waiting for the cues. So the sun this week is going from 7 to 13 degrees, 7 tomorrow, 7 Taurus to 13 Taurus by the end of the week. What that basically means is that you are going to, 7 is that, tomorrow, 7, Saturday, 7 will be spiritually coming to understand your values and valuing yourself and where you need to value yourself. And, a lot of us are still kind of wounded. I have a lot of people in my organization and in my network of people who took a hit this week. They took a hit. They hit a big road, couple of big bumps. And that was, I think, that full moon in Scorpio sort of squeezing out the last, like, get that last crap out of there. It was very uncomfortable. And so I think Saturday is like sort of a forgiveness, like, okay, all right. And just kind of recognizing the soul and the human body and being forgiving of yourself and letting that stuff really go. And once you've had those amens, then on Sunday, it's step 8. And Sunday will be a day where you can commit, like, I am worth this. Gosh, golly, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough and people love me. And then we move into Monday where it's like, go get him, Tiger. So Monday is when you then make the move to basically bank on your victory. Start betting on yourself come Monday. Start betting on yourself and everything. Place your bet on yourself. Notice I say bet because it is a gamble. It's something you've never done before. But this is a time where it's safer to gamble now than normal. I'm not saying gambling's the way to go. I'm not saying throw your money in Vegas. I'm saying, 9 out of 10 restaurants end in bankruptcy. Not me. I'm going to gamble on me. So when people tell you, oh, no, the chance of you actually making it, I'm going to gamble on me. So if you gamble on you right now, the astrology is saying it's got a very high payoff. Okay, the odds are really good. You're going to make something out of yourself or out of your life or out of your community or out of anything, out of nothing, out of an idea. So from 7 to 10, so 7 goes to 8, 9 we take off. Tuesday 10, the grand I manifest of step 10, that's when you come into this new version of you. And you basically are the new version of you. Wednesday, you come into full alignment. You feel it in your body. So sort of like you're feeling the new skin, the new avatar is working good now. And then Thursday, you go, okay, let's take a look at my life. What must go? What am I going to invest in and what must go? And this is where we start to mobilize the movement. We want to liquidate all the stuff in our life that means nothing to us. That's a painful, ooh, but it's true. Everything that means nothing to us, we got to let it go. We used to carry it for a long time, seeing if it would come back to life or if it would work or whatever. But we're at a point now where it's you or them. And remember, this is a simulation. It all matters. We feel our feelings are real. Our experiences are real. But the point is like nothing lasts forever. Everyone is really a unity consciousness. We're all basically in a dream in heaven right now. And this is a simulation, sort of like hallucination that we're all having collectively. So in the big picture of things, nothing matters. So if nothing matters, well, then why are you holding on to stuff that doesn't matter. I think that's the biggest thing. We take our creation energy and we give it to things that don't matter and we make them matter. And so we give life with our magic to things that don't matter to us and they become matter. And then we're like, what's the matter? Right. And we're like, oh, I mismanifested. So the point is that as we move into the end of this week, you really, from this new enlightened perspective of knowing what you're worth, what are you not willing to pay for anymore? What's taxing you? You know, where is the financing wrong on certain spiritual investments? Ultimately, that's sort of the question that comes online around Thursday. Ironically, Pluto retrogrades on Thursday too. More to come on that. Jupiter this week goes from step 23 to step 24. So we're going to see the new vision for the future and we're going to accept the new vision for the future. So you're going to sign off on the dream. And Uranus is at quantum step 22, which means that anything goes. This is anything goes. This is the improbability drive. If you know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that's improbable. Uranus goes, it's nothing to me. So the improbability drive is that no matter how improbable it may be, it could probably happen. So if your heart knows how to use the matrix and turn the key, okay, which is to vibrate at the level that you must, the timeline that you want to be on. So a very exciting week. And the week ends dramatically next Friday, because next Friday at step 13, when I'm live on the air, we're going to realize that it's time to take this whole party to a whole nother level. You're going to basically realize you've been settling for generic saltines when you could have a brand name, organic, non-pesticide cracker for half the price. You're going to realize you've been investing in the wrong stuff, knowing how valuable you are. And that's the arc of this week, that you realize you're capable of so much more. It's very exciting. All right, let's move on to Aries energy. Back in Aries, Mercury is direct. We at SeriousJoy.com did experience a lot of flash of our services when Mercury stationed direct. It was a powerful Mercury. It also kind of our services also flash at the start of Mercury retrograde too. So again, a powerful Mercury. Mercury stationed direct on the North Node, which was saying basically last week, it's time to take the path of least resistance. Last week being yesterday, as I tape this right now. So as of yesterday, it clicked into gear. I felt it click into gear as all sorts of shift went wrong where I work, like everything. And people were cranky, feeling that full moon still. But Mercury this week goes from 16 to 18 Aries, which basically means 18 is the grandmaster intention of action. So again, you sign off on mobilizing the movement. Mercury direct is mobilizing the movement. Okay, we need 2 cans of this, 1 can of that, rent a car, make sure we get the plane ticket, blah, 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 blah. That's where the mind's going to be. Venus this week actually starts at 27 Aries. So it sort of starts at the for the purpose of, and then scoots into lovely Taurus this week. Venus moves into Taurus on the 29th. And it's sort of like a good and a pro. Venus moves into Taurus, so we're like, but then Mars moves into Aries, so we're like, ugh. So it's sort of like a payoff. Like there's an and an this week. But Venus means it's time to open up and accept that this is the mission. It's time to open up and accept the grand I am. This is who I am. So therefore, this is the credit I deserve. So this is really us accepting the grand I am and accepting the grand I manifest. Chiron at step 20 is saying, let's hold some emotional space open. We haven't been at the top in a long, long time, in many, many lifetimes. You might be a little nervous at the wheel. You might be a little jittery. So, Chiron is like, just heal those nerves, heal those, those shakes. Chiron trying to help heal the anxiety, because step 20 Aries is definitely anxiety, to heal the anxiety about the future, getting back on the horse again, making sure that this time you don't blow it, all those sorts of things. And then the North Node at 15 degrees, Aries saying the path of least resistance. And I've explained this in all my subscriptions, what the path of least resistance is. We can't get into it right now. But if your heart's like, cool, then that's the path of least resistance. It's based on the heart. It's not based on, the actual friction, so to speak. Moving on to the moon. It's quite an emotional week, actually. Right now, we're in jolly Sagittarius. The moon is transiting my 5th house. You can probably feel my inner child wanting to play. Sag is full of all sorts of belief structure and unlimited possibilities, and let's look over the rainbow. So we're going to be sort of rainbowy about what's possible all day tonight and then tomorrow, Saturday. So Saturday's a real, what's the possibilities kind of thing. Then the moon moves into Capricorn Saturday night and Sunday, and Monday and Tuesday, basically. And so we get real serious about, our joy, basically with the moon in Capricorn. We also make up our mind. We're like, nope, that's it. They're out. I'm done. So a lot of emotional conclusions, particularly about relationships with the South Node at 15 degrees Libra. A lot of people are parting ways right now. I expect a lot of that. Don't take it personally. People are preparing for their place in the great earth transformation, and they're feeling called to take their place on stage. So there's a lot of separation going on right now. So I think a lot of those decisions happen Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then the moon goes later in Tuesday into Aquarius, Wednesday and Thursday. So I am predicting Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to be sort of far out and a little crazy. I'm having all sorts of thanks, Mac. My Apple is like telling me stuff right now, and I'm like, dude, I'm live on a show. What are you doing, Apple? So things are kind of far out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this video is really for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to be on this tropical conscious energy together on those days, sort of floating between realities, between worlds. Because you're starting to wake up to the fact that, you should bank on victory. And then Thursday night and then Friday, wow, man, what a trip. The moon moves into Pisces. So we're starting to feel, wow, I've really changed. I've really grown. I can't believe this shift kind of thing. So Friday is a real far out, man. Next time we meet next week, I was thinking about doing a Hawaiian shirt actually with this. And then my Leo rising just couldn't do it. I'm not Bashar. Moving on to Virgo consciousness, Black Moon Lilith this week at step 23. And that means that we're facing bad ideas, the fear of having a bad idea. What if this is a bad idea? There's no such thing as a bad idea. There are ideas that are abandoned by the person who had the idea. And so they don't follow up with the idea with their talent and their potential. And so as a result, it turns out bad, but that was because they couldn't rally themselves up behind the idea. So you're going to face certain fears that you have, about, bad ideas, and they're going to think it's a bad idea. And what if she thinks it's a bad idea? What if the bank thinks it's a bad idea? That sort of thing, so facing those fears. And if you feel and you believe, that's step 22, I feel and believe, then it's okay. Moving on to our spiritual development in Pisces. Pisces has been quite, the hot spot for us. It was a very dreamy first half of 2024. Is that the year? See how dreamy it was? I'm still wondering what the year is. Mars is going to actually take away the focus that we have had there. We've had the ego there for almost 6 weeks. Mars at 27, which is a Grandmaster Mars. So we start off the week sort of, launching our spiritual character, I guess is a way to look at it. So the vision I'm getting from my guides is when you hit the bottle of champagne on the ship, so so it's sort of like we're sort of christening this new spiritual character. That spiritual character may be seen in public, may not be seen in public. So realize your spiritual character is not the same as your, rising sign character, but we do launch that spiritual character. Saturn at Grandmaster 16 says, this is the way. So Saturn at 16 is saying, this is the way. This is what you agreed to in heaven. If there's a lot of weird jolts where you suddenly lose a job or someone leaves out of nowhere or suddenly the company lays you off, that's Saturn at 16. Saturn at 16 saying, okay. If you haven't if you haven't taken your positions that you agreed to in heaven, it must happen now. So when Saturn hits 16, it's sort of like you got no choice. You have to go. You already agreed in heaven. Sorry, there are some things that we agreed to in heaven. No matter how hard we try to get off that path, we'll get smacked back onto that path because we agreed. We signed the contract. And then we have Neptune. This is the biggest thing of the week, maybe with Pisces. Neptune goes to Helter Skelter 29 on Thursday, the same day that Pluto retrogrades. And we'll talk about Pluto here in a moment. So 29 is sort of pushing the spiritual envelope for one. So it is, but it's also fantasy taken too far, illusion taken too far, delusion taken too far, people getting delusional. It's definitely the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs degree of Neptune. Okay, so if a pink dragon was going to appear out of the sky and offer you a Tootsie Roll, it'll be with Neptune at 29 degrees. That's pretty much a psychedelic conscious degree where, I think we all might be getting a little bit of a glimpse into other realities with this Neptune placement is what I'm basically saying. And by the way, that's the degree it's at during Unite the Light. So we're all going to be lit up basically. This is basically like everyone basically kind of on what do you call it? Micro. This is sort of like microdosing, basically. Like spiritually, everyone's going to be a little tuned in to higher frequencies. I mean, pick it up on channels and either knowing it's a channel or not knowing it's a channel. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to make Unite the Light very interesting. And another reason why we had Unite the Light in this, I think, why my guides are like, you have to do it now. So, lastly, that brings us to Pluto, and this is probably the biggest headline of the week. Pluto stationing retrograde at 2 degrees. Now, we can't get too deep into this, but we definitely got to alert you. Here's the thing. Pluto is sort of like a tunneling machine. That's a good way to think of it. So Pluto's like a boring machine. When you have really dense consciousness that refuses to change, okay, like, no, I'm not changing, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And we get that way as humans. Pluto's like, well, I'll huff and I'll puff, okay? And I'm just going to drill this shit right out. And you're going to actually have to be. And why? Because wherever Pluto is, it's where humans are out of time. Sorry, you're out of time. Pluto gave you 249 years to change. You just decided not to. So we're going to burrow through this right now. And that dense consciousness that you won't allow change, we're just going to burrow right through that shift right now. And you have no choice but to change. Okay. So Pluto has basically drilled into 2 degrees Aquarius. Okay. Where it said, okay, we're going to all this compacted energy about how my heart, step one, vibes with myself, how my emotions vibe with myself, how my heart and emotions vibe with myself, that spectrum of the consciousness right there, that's all been, the cavity has all been taken out of that. Okay. And now Pluto retrogrades, which it reverses like beep, beep, beep. Now it starts to reverse out of that tunnel. And what happens is all the shift that dense consciousness was holding back starts to flood into that conscious tunnel, flood into that space that Pluto has made in our life. And then we're forced to populate that consciousness because it gets zeroed out with Pluto. Now, what this means for the Earth is we've been, going into these emotional frequencies, our heart's frequency and our emotional frequency. And while Pluto's been in the tunnel, Pluto's been holding everything up. Okay. So Pluto's been giving us the strength to have boundaries. You might have noticed Aquarius is saying yes recently. I know. I've seen Aquarius is actually saying yes to things. I thought I'd never see that in my lifetime. Saying yes right away. I think that's because of Pluto in Aquarius, giving them this spine, holding them up as it basically burrows a tunnel, but it sort of holds things together. So the point is when we pull out this Pluto and Pluto retrogrades on Thursday, people have to face all their emotional frequencies without Pluto holding stuff up. And so basically Pluto is pulling away the life preserver and saying, okay, it's time to swim. It's time to swim in your emotional frequency. So putting it very, very simply, Pluto has been holding your hand with training wheels on your emotional frequency. And now the training wheels come off on Thursday. You have to roller skate, ice skate, maneuver with your feelings on your own. So I am, I do think that there's going to be sort of a hysteria. People are going to be anxious is what I feel. There's going to be an anxiety buzz. And people are going to say, I don't know if it's excitement. I don't know. We don't know because we haven't mapped out these vibrations that Pluto just opened up for the first time. We've never mapped them out. So we don't know how we feel. We don't know what this vibe is. We don't know if it's what we ate for dinner or if we're excited or if we're getting a bad signal from God universe. And so there's a lot of making distinctions, Pluto, between these different vibrations, starting to tag them and sort of understand them and start to see how they network to each other. And this is part of the Great Awakening. So we technically start to really wake up at the core of who we are starting Thursday when Pluto retrogrades. It's going to be interesting. I'll have my iPhone out taking video. Hello. Okay. It's going to be fascinating. All right. Let's take a look at the planets and see what they have to say. We're running pretty good on time. 4 minutes. I can do this in 4 minutes. Sure. All right. I think that's thunder outside. It was thunder and lightning here today in Denver, Colorado. It was pretty crazy. Keep streaming for Julie Resler. She's got so many little cute brands, founder of the Life Designer Coach Academy. She's a big TEDx speaker, and she's a professor. Very interesting combination. Can't wait to talk to her. A Sag, as you can probably remember, coming up at Astro Mingle later tonight. Okay, so we start this party. I'm just going to show you the start screen. The sun at 7 degrees. You can see Uranus at Grandmaster 22. You can see Jupiter at 23. So this is the quantum, nuclear manifestor reactor I was talking about. Mars at 27 at 28. This is the launch of the spiritual dream. Mars is the launch of destiny. So destiny is launching. Saturn at grand 16. Okay, everyone take their places for the great shift. Mercury at step 16. Direct. Okay, it's time to take to mobilize the movement according to our spiritual plan. So that's tomorrow. We kind of put all that together. On Monday, skipping ahead, this is where we have Mars and Neptune conjoin at 28 degrees. That is the official, that's the christening of the destiny. So our destiny is christened. You can turn back, but it's going to be confusing and make no sense. Notice at that moment, Venus is at 29 degrees. So the grand I am is tested when you launch the new destiny. That's interesting. The sun will be at step 9, which means it's time to go ahead and bank on that victory. So this is really on Monday, you want to bank on the victory. And hold space for the destiny and take the path you were destined to walk on, mobilizing the movement. Then on Monday, later on that morning, because I think this happens at 12:30 a.m. And then Venus enters Taurus. Dun, 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 dun. Venus comes to save the day. It enters Taurus at 0 degrees Taurus at 7:31 a.m. So we are feeling a lot more comfortable, or at least we know we have the consciousness to become more comfortable. Then, like I said, Venus and Taurus, yay, things are cooling off. Then Mars enters into Aries the very next day. Boo, things are heating up. Mars and Aries. So Mars and Venus are sort of marching in a sextile right now, a semi-sextile, which is actually quite common for them. Then we have on May 1st, Wednesday, May 1st, remember hump day is always the hump day. Well, Venus squares Pluto at 2 degrees. So basically pay attention what feelings come up on Tuesday. See how the moon has just crossed Pluto just about 10 hours prior. So the moon is still sort of vibrating. Might have one of those dreams you can't shake off in the morning when you wake up, one of those types of things. But Venus at 2 is like reconciling your feelings of self-worth with other feelings and vibrations. So this is where we're starting to try on this new self-worth thing and starting to bank on our victory and sort of get emotionally called on it, Then on Thursday, Pluto retrogrades, and that is, of course, going to be Pluto's going to retrograde from 2 all the way back to 29 Capricorn, where it will sit through the elections of the United States. Basically, what Pluto said is Pluto burrowing into the 2 degrees Aquarius is basically saying, did you know we could have a great life if we wanted to? And we're like, oh, I didn't know that. And Pluto's like, okay, I'm out of here. Just want to tell you. And then Pluto goes back into Capricorn. It's like, basically anyone has the potential to basically when Pluto hits Capricorn, it's going to be sort of like everyone sort of stockpiling to try to take power at the same time. So it's going to be a race for power. That's the way to put it. So really we got to get lit up here in the Aquarius energy before that happens. And then on May 3rd, which is Friday, next show, we have Mars sextile Pluto. So now Mars in Aries at 2 degrees is emotionally checking in with our ego with our vibration. So first our self-worth with our vibration, and then our ego with our vibration. The moon is entering into Pisces. So you're starting to process that you have spiritually grown. And look at this. So if you study my system or the system, the step system, I mean, it's not mine, it's God Universe's that I just teach on. Anything that adds to a 4 is a quantum degree. So look at this harmonic. Venus at 4, Sun at 13 at 4, Uranus, the ruler of 4 at 4. This, my friend, next Friday is a vortex. This is basically a train station where people will be getting on and off timelines. Okay. So we have a train station next Friday. Some of you may not be in my reality next Friday. Some of you may not be in my reality next Friday, but you're just going to pop and you're going to be in another reality. And it's going to be a guy that looks kind of like me, has a Polish last name, and not good as good as astrology or better. I'm not trying to doom you. All right. Well, I'd say it's time to talk about you. Go steep yourself some tea. I've got my little animal tea, the wolf here, and let's have our weekly tea time. A vortex. I saw that on there. I think some of the stickiness of the video is the video behind me. I am yeah, it is quite a week ahead of us, Sydney. I agree with you. Neptune girl tea time. Yep. It is all aboard, says Lovin Delight. I think I know who that is. Looking at the picture, there's a new name there. Oh, thank you, Kat. She says no one can replace me. That's not a cat on my mug. That was a wolf that came from Bernadette King, who was a guest on our show not too long ago. So yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to take a little moment, say hello to the crowd, and circle back here after that little major sermon there on the planets. We're going to do now our tea time segment where I basically walk through the horoscopes for all 12 signs. Julie Resler will be here after that with our Astro Mingle. And this week, I always walk you through 4 points to elevate you to the next dimension. Venus and the sun this week in early Taurus. So, the sun has already sort of trailblazed our wish list. So the sun is ahead of Venus. So when the sun is ahead of Venus, your heart is open like Superman, revealing the S on your chest. You're just like, oh my God, I want. Okay. And so you have this big, strong wanting. When Venus comes up behind that wanting, we go ahead and we purchase, we go ahead and we integrate. So we've already wanted a lot of certain like values with ourselves, and now we are going to open up and accept those values at the same time. So we basically are giving ourselves an inner raise of self-worth, and we are depositing in the bank at the same time. That's basically what's happening. So that's good, Then we're going to talk about Mars on Neptune. Remember I said Mars conjuncts Neptune at 28 degrees. Then Neptune goes to Helter Skelter 29, where we then go down the rabbit hole of microdosing, spirituality. And so we're all going to be dosing on spirituality come the end of the week. Mars on Neptune is sort of what lights that fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. So what's coming to mind? I think I'm channeling Jim Morrison here. I think he's up in heaven like, yeah, I wish I could have been there. But this ultimately is where you are really manifesting your destiny and where you are taking things to a higher level in your life. And so I'll talk about for all 12 signs where that is. Then we'll talk about Mars entering into Aries. You're going to be very triggered. Let me just say this. You're going to be very triggered and over yourself this week. Once Mars gets into Aries, and that is, of course, on, when does Mars go into Aries? On Tuesday. Once Mars goes into Aries, you're going to be just over yourself. Okay. Like what I mean by that is like when you look in the mirror, if you've been trying to lose weight and you haven't, or whatever, if you can't pass the cookie, or, if you can't get up on time for work, or you can't finish the damn lawn mowing, those pet peeves with yourself, boof, they're going to kind of like explode as of Tuesday. Okay. So now in the same sense, that Martian in the Aries energy helps you, like gives you the super strength to go ahead and heave ho something and to break free and to initiate. And so it's a very positive energy. It's only when you're resisting using it that it becomes explosive. And some people will act out on other people and project on other people, depending on the spiritual maturity of the individual. And then Pluto retrograding on Thursday. I'll talk about where it is that little Pluto, tunnel boring, the boring company of Pluto, where it's going to start withdrawing, meaning where you're going to have to tread water with your feelings, what part of your life you need to tread water with your feelings. All right. And as always, I'll put what sign I'm talking about here. I know Iggy, you'll probably give us the time quotes, which is so nice of him. We'll have them in the comments afterwards and under the show, kid. I'm drinking my hydrogen blue water. Starting with the Aries. Aries, you are really opening up and embracing self-worth at the core. I think for Aries, you're very hard on yourself. So I think a lot of this is reclaiming the credit that you already took away from yourself. So I don't think that I don't think that had low self-esteem to begin with. I think you made mistakes and then you punished yourself, and now you're giving yourself back that credit. Because pretty much Aries are born feeling quite credible. That's what makes you so courageous. You have Taurus in the second house. So you already are very credible. You already give yourself credit, but you've given yourself too much credit or the wrong credit, or you've lent your credit. So this is probably credit healing. This is credit karma. I just came up with that. That was great. So Mars on Neptune means that you're going to have now a new relationship to God that gets started. And this new relationship to God um, might be very, very special. I mean, the sense that maybe now you're going to trust God, where in the past you haven't. Maybe you and God broke up during the Inquisition, but now you and God are besties again. Maybe that you're going to go ahead and bet on God having your back for the first time, whereas before you didn't really give God credit. But there's some super God nuclear something. And if anyone could just suddenly stop and have a day flash of just some sort of a something coming over them in their third eye, like some sort of a vision, it would be y'all. I think it's quite possible you might just go to another reality for a minute. And I've heard some stories recently about people who have jumped through space time. I'm starting to get stories really kind of interesting, especially past lives. So you're kind of up for, if you're married to an Aries, just keep an eye on them, just keep an eye on them. Mars in Aries. Here's the other reason to be alarmed, because at the same time that they're a little like cross third eyed, um, Mars going into Aries makes Aries just like become very erect, very strong, very like in that position, ready for war. So, Aries are going to be short tempered, but you need to move forward and change your behavior and get motivated and get things done and move forward, basically. So get it moving. And Pluto retrograde means that you're going to start feeling kind of whiny and sensitive about your public reputation. Let me say that again. You're going to become whiny and sensitive about your public reputation. Did that person just look at me? That sort of thing. So, this sort of, when you add this all up, new self-esteem, feeling this like God's got your back, Mars back in Aries, oversensitive in public, this is sort of a setup for a bar fight. So be careful, Aries, okay? It can go wrong. Taurus. Taurus, your new Venus and Sun has to do with the way you're treating yourself. And I can relate to this. I'm learning to treat myself a lot better this week. I have been focusing on that. And I feel like you're going to find where to focus on that as yourself as well. It is time now to treat yourself in a new light. I think in a lot of cases, this is the ending of bad habits that ruined your credibility with yourself. I'm sure it's your own judgment of the habit. It's not the habit itself. Usually it's in some sort of indulgence that Tauruses are taking. They're sleeping in, or they're taking their time, or they're not getting a lot of work done, or they're eating too many cookies. So a lot of times the self-treatment has to do with being indulgent in things, but it is now time to own and embrace a new feng shui with how you treat yourself, and really honor your self-treatment and take it to a whole new level. So basically, if you take your inner hotel from 4-star to 5-star, everything's going to work out just the way you treat yourself. Now, the Mars-Neptune conjunction does mean that social ambition goes to an explosive part. So Tauruses now are going to push the envelope with spirituality in society. I'm doing the unite the light, basically, is with this 29 degrees. So to me, that's pushing the envelope with spirituality in society. It might be for you speaking up at your church. It might be for you to, bringing God to your family, but there's some sort of, mission launching with you in the public, whatever your public has to be. With Mars in Aries, you're going to be highly triggered. A lot of questions of interfaith. Definitely time to shadow box and get rid of those fears. Turn fear into courage, and realize that if you don't get enough sleep, if you're not getting enough meditation in the waking life, you're a little unpredictable. So you got to kind of watch yourself. And Pluto retrograde means you're going to be emotional and whiny about self-discipline. Like, oh, do I have to? That's going to be, I think, where Tauruses go with Pluto at 2 degrees. That's the most shallow. I'm sure it'll turn into a lot of things, but just probably an uncertainty as to whether or not you can discipline yourself. You've been really riding on the power of Pluto in the 10th house direct since Aquarius and late Aquarius. So this really is God saying, okay, Taurus, time to fly. Let's see how you do. Don't be Icarus and fly too close to the sun. Note to self. The last point for Taurus is happy birthday. Geminis. Geminis, you are now accepting a new faith in yourself. I am seeing this with Geminis. I'm seeing Geminis make some bolder decisions, saying no to things that they used to think they'd have FOMO if they didn't. So I do think this is a time where you're really, the puddles are drying up. You're feeling much more confident to be a bit more bold. You know, you can always judge a Gemini of how truthful they'll be or what they're willing to say. So if you're willing to say the truth, or be honest or forthright, then that's a good sign your faith is building on the inside. You're going to have some sort of explosive moment in your career and legacy. I think Geminis are going to be introduced to something in the scene that they have to, something they have to, some sort of scene or something where they're a part of a movement. I don't think Geminis are the leaders, but I think Geminis are huge, like buddies. And with Mars in Aries, it means that you are going to be really kind of cranky and kind of explosive about putting yourself out there. And really, so the way people see you, you might be a little defensive in how you're seen. You might be a little too aggressive out there in public. You might want to approach a little more gently. You might be sort of like elephant in a china shop once you get a crazed idea and start charging. So you want to channel that masculine energy into getting stuff done in the world. Definitely time to hang your sign out and tell the world that you're open for business. Where Pluto retrogrades, you're going to be a little whiny when it comes to believing in yourself. You're going to suddenly have to question whether you believe in yourself. And that's where the boundaries have to come in. And you have to say, no, I'm not going to question. I'm going to go with what I've been feeling since January. So you're going to have to put in a boundary there, like a stint, to make sure that belief in yourself doesn't get eroded by something. All right, time for a sip of water, of ocean water. All righty. Cancers. I hope I wasn't too in the microphone that. Cancers. You are opening up your feeling comfortable in your own skin and really feeling like you're right where you're supposed to be. And so you're really owning that you're right where you're supposed to be. You're in witness of what you're supposed to witness. Ultimately, maybe you found a new home in the world, a new home in a new company, maybe a new home, with a, vendor that you use. So I think Cancers, but this is a public home. This isn't home, but I think you're feeling comfortable and you're opening up, and this new home values you differently than you're normally valued in the world. So it's pretty unique for you, whatever this is. And there's a nuclear potential for greatness with Jupiter conjunct Uranus. With Mars on Neptune, this is your life's purpose is launching in a fiery way. So you're being called to your purpose, what gives you meaning. It is a time to be really just sort of head down and focus on what brings the most meaning to you and select your priorities based on the most meaningful. But this is a meaningful destiny that you are starting to create now. Mars in Aries means you're going to be really driven in career and discipline. You're going to be a bit of a soldier for the next 6 weeks. There's a lot to get done as far as you're concerned. You will be testy and impatient when it comes to the company you work for or the colleagues you're with. Be careful to, check yourself before you respond, because you could create some friction at work by just being so motivated and so pushed. And then Pluto retrograde means you're going to be a little whiny when it comes to trusting yourself. There's going to be a lot of moments when you're going to question if you can trust yourself, and you're going to have to affirm, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So there'll be some questioning and then some affirmation. Yes, I can trust myself. And so it is. So yeah, for Cancers, just know your boundaries with yourself and you'll be able to trust yourself. Leos, the lovely Leos, the royalty of the zodiac, the love leaders, the leaders of love. You are embracing and committing to self-discipline. And as a Leo rising, I can completely say that. In my case, some of my self-discipline stuff is actually taking breaks, going to bed on time. My self-discipline has to do with self-care. That's where I screw up. But everywhere, Leos are opening up and flowering when it comes to, valuing the decisions they made for themselves and building something out of the decisions they made for themselves. Now, with Mars conjoining Neptune, you're going to be maybe pushing the envelope as far as boundaries are concerned and transforming your life. This is the moment where Leos and Leo rising's lives will now start to completely transform. You say bye-bye to whatever you have going around in your current space energy, because you are going to vortex to a new timeline. And I suspect, you will be flying in those clouds come June. So kiss your neighbors goodbye. You won't see them for a while. Mars in Aries means that you are very strong about believing in yourself right now. It is time to chase after what you believe. It's time to walk your talk and not go against what you believe in your actions or your behaviors. You're going to be impatient with how long it takes the story to unfold. You're about 6 weeks of really figuring out what that story is. And you're really good at like sharing information right now or putting information out there. It's a good time to promote your knowledge or wisdom. With Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, you're going to be whiny and complaining to yourself. You're going to feel a little insecure with the way you relate to yourself. Your feelings have to be managed as VIP basically at this point, and then your heart has to be managed as VIP after that. You're going to be just kind of like wherever is your sticking point with yourself, whatever pet peeves you have with yourself, whatever you can't stand about yourself, which shouldn't be anything. These are going to become kind of inflamed once Pluto retrogrades in Aquarius. Virgos, the virtuosos. Virgos, you are now constructing a new belief in yourself, and you are starting to own that belief in yourself. I've seen a lot of Virgos come online, and Virgo risings in particular. Finally, I thought the skeptic would never end, but they finally are starting to believe in themselves, at least in front of me. Maybe they always believed in themselves, they just couldn't do it in public. I don't know. But I'm definitely seeing Virgos step it up now and own that they can do it, and that they're the shift, and that there's no one better than them than to do it. The Mars Neptune conjunction is in partnership. So Virgos and Virgo risings are pushing the envelope of partnerships now, kickstarting partnerships. I'm hearing all sorts of interesting stories. I know one person that got engaged. I'm definitely seeing it with the Virgos and Virgo risings right now. As I predicted, they are getting into cosmic partnerships, and your partnerships may push you a little bit too, just to say. Mars in Aries means you're going to be super, super edgy around boundaries, personal space. You're in a particular meow moment. You're going to be kind of randy and probably wanting to connect in a biblical way. But you also could be, slam the door or be a little too harsh when it comes to manifesting boundaries right now. So be conscious of that. With Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, you're going to be a little whiny about your health and your body and how you feel in the moment. So I do think Virgos and Virgo risings will be feeling really strange in the moment, because you're between realities, and basically the universe has shown you two different paths you can take with how to live in the moment. And you're going to have to choose and deliberately make that moment that you want to live in. It's been sort of automatic when Pluto was burrowing into your daily life and offering you new opportunities, is how I see it. All right. Let's take a sip. Libras. Libras are building new trust in themselves, and they are putting up boundaries of themselves that builds value, makes them feel valuable. They are, in essence, creating ultimatums with themselves that builds soul capital over time and builds trust in themselves. So you are manifesting new trust in yourself that raises your value, because it raises your capacity to go out and do something compelling, to throw your hand out there and shake and introduce yourself to that person. You are very good at dealing with people, but are you always trusting yourself? Once you trust yourself, you can really pull it off. Mars on top of Neptune is this quantum spiritual lifestyle change. So Libras and Libra risings now are about to go change their lifestyle and take it to a whole new level. I know a couple Libras who are ready to just kind of like travel the world and separate from day-to-day life. So I'm seeing evidence in Libras and Libra risings that they're about to go on the road, or they're about to, go build an alternative city, or they're about to, go to another country. So I'm seeing a lot of that for Libras. It could also mean that you're starting something like starting in the space industry or doing something we've never seen before. Mars in Aries is in your house of marriage. So you're going to be kind of aggro in your relationships, and you're going to be maybe a little pushy. Be careful. You really want to create a good stride. Don't overdo it. You'll be a little heavy handed in your relationship to yourself. So first the way you treat yourself, and then how you treat others is going to be how it unfolds. And where you're going to get a little whiny with Pluto retrograding is with self-love, that you might, you know, be so over it. Why can't someone love me the way I love other people? Why can't I get back what I give to other people? That sort of whiny. Truth is, where you need self-love, only you can give it. So no one can give us our self-love where we need it but us. So the love we get from other people is nice, but it's not scratching you in the perfect spot. Only you know where that spot is. So I think Libras are going to be a little whiny when it comes to really loving themselves, and have to keep reinforcing that over and over. Scorpios. Scorpios are now building a new constant in their mirror to themselves, to really be there for themselves and as they relate to themselves. They are really building a new value of who they are. They've done the work. It's just now time to own it. So this is really a time where actions matter. Scorpio, words matter. Going the extra 9 yards for yourself matters. And you're going to find that you develop this really tight relationship with yourself. Like a good example of how I look at that is sort of like how an athlete has a good relationship to their body, or a pianist has a good relationship to their fingers. You're developing a good relationship to yourself so you can be there for yourself. And from there, and you always have been there for yourself, but you tend to sacrifice yourself for others. So it's not that you weren't there for yourself. It's that you just kept taking withdrawals out of the bank, making no deposits. Um, so I think that Mars conjoining Neptune for you is your personal dreams. Scorpios have some sort of personal dream it's about to take off. This is a child wish or delight. This is something magical. This is going to put the sparkle back in Scorpio's eyes, who, for some Scorpios, they have got a little half eyelid because life has been so tough. So something miraculous, spiritual, wondrous was a personal dream or golden egg project. This is you know, and it's destined. You really you can't push. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. You can't push. It's something you set up in heaven. Mars in Aries means you're going to be kind of a cranky bear, I think, or a bearette, if that's a female bear. You're going to be kind of cranky in daily life, at work, probably impatient. Be careful of injuries in the body. Real easy to pull a muscle right now. So make sure you're very conscious with your motion, and you follow through. Make sure the door is closed. Make sure the door is locked. Make sure there's follow through, because Aries energy tends to sort of take shortcuts. And just, you know, take your, you know, do it at your own pace. You do have extra strength right now. And the irony thing is, like, when you have extra strength, it feels like you aren't strong. It's a weird paradox. So if you say I'm not strong, but you're holding it, you're strong. And then Pluto retrograde is that you're going to become kind of whiny and weepy about how you feel about yourself. Oh, my shoe's untied. This isn't going well. Why isn't that? So it's sort of that baby coming out. In a way, it's going to be terrible twos for Scorpios, only with yourself. I hope you don't project it on others. But that's sort of where Pluto is saying, nope, you've got to keep everything really grounded, nurtured, and nice with yourself. So, you know, when you combine the feelings retrograde and the Mars and Aries, watch out. Scorpios are a little sharp right now. I would walk around. I take the long way, personally. Sagittarius is. Sagittarius, you're building a new home, family, like day-to-day lifestyle, not really home family, but just like how you live in the moment, the zone, the energy you live in. I have seen Sagittarius is sort of perking up like that flower in ET recently. They have sort of suddenly stood straight up. I think they're owning their worth in the moment as they sit there in the moment alone with themselves. They're owning the worth. And that's also the way they treat their body and honor their body and honor their health. So I think Sagittarius are really learning to build that value. And part of that is low stress and having no stress and keeping stress out of your body and your life. So stressless is valuable. Mars conjunct Neptune is around emotional security. So Sagittarius are about to go to a karmic place of emotional security. That could be that you come into an inheritance, that you get married, that you become the CEO of a company. Whatever it is that's coming into your life to bring stability, it's most likely destined. It's something you agreed to in heaven. And so you take comfort. I don't think it's going away. With Mars and Aries, you're going to be on fire this month and the next 6 weeks. Your heart is just going to be lit up. You're going to be falling in love with yourself and falling in love with life and falling in love with your children and falling in love again. And you're going to have sort of endless energy to have fun. This is the part of Sagittarius that tend to stay out till 5 a.m. So temper it, make sure you're clear with your boundaries with yourself. Remember, you are building a healthy, stressless lifestyle. But Pluto at 2 degrees retrograde says that you're going to be a little whiny in your own thoughts with yourself. So you're going to whine with yourself. You're going to be whiny, maybe times where you have a poor attitude with yourself, where you have to pull your mind out of the gutter, pull your mind out of the negativity. Right now, Pluto direct has kept you very positive in your thinking with yourself, and now Pluto is pulling away that scaffolding. Okay, so you got to keep those thoughts positive, Sagittarius, and on point. Capricorns. Capricorns are now building a self-love module inside themselves, and they are really opening up and stepping into that self-love. And I am seeing that with Capricorns because I'm seeing Capricorns are sort of rocking and rolling when it comes to money and finances right now. It's mostly because they're changing industries, or they're trying to do an industry that is innovative. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So the need to be there for yourself and love yourself has never been greater right now. So you really have to have that self-love that's impenetrable. Think of it as a Fort Knox in your heart, golden love in your heart. The more gold you have in your heart, the more gold you'll manifest in the world. The Mars-Neptune conjunction for you means some brilliant idea, some grand plan, some innovation, some business design, some idea of yours, some strategy, something is about to take off, and it was destined. You don't have to worry that it's not going to happen. It's agreed to happen in heaven. Part of this is learning how to love yourself while you're waiting for heaven to deliver, but some sort of attitude or grand plan is now launching forward. Mars in Aries is in the house of emotions, so Capricorns will be kind of grumpy, emotionally stirred. At the same time, you have the energy to go to the gym. You have the energy to take yourself to the masseuse. So you have the energy to take care of yourself. Whether or not you do, or you just sort of melt and under your own emotion, will be up to you. It's how you use that energy. You will be kind of maybe a little argumentative at home, or slightly argumentative or closed, or maybe a little overreactive with home and family members. Pluto retrograde at 2 degrees means that you will get a little whiny when it comes to self-worth. This is what I was talking about. You are sort of tunneling into a new industry, or you yourself are actually rebooting how you make your money. And so you're elevating money consciousness right now. But now that Pluto's retrograde, you're not going to feel as strong to do that. And you're going to have to hold up the self-worth on your own on the inside, and sort of be tested through the rest of the year, basically, on this. So, know what you're worth, Cappy. Aquarius. Aquariuses are manifesting a new solid emotional foundation with themselves. And I have seen this. I have seen Aquariuses feeling really good. And that's the way to put it, feeling good. Saying yes to things. That's what I was saying. It's amazing. I've seen Aquariuses saying yes. So you are building a new self-worth through how you feel about yourself, and the kind of feelings you allow to harbor, and the ones you process and bring yourself to neutrality. So emotionally, the more you nurture yourself, the more you pamper yourself, the better off everything is in the kingdom or queendom. So, I think you are building self-worth through self-comfort, said the Taurus to the Aquarius. That said, Mars on Neptune is really pushing the envelope for money right now. Any business venture that you are playing around with right now is going to bring the money. Again, don't worry about money, because this is destined. You were destined to do this. You were destined to burn off all your karma before you started to make the industry. So the good news is that you are late to the game, but the good news is you're in the right game, and you won't lose what you're doing. So you're not going to have to lose what you've done. You've already had loss your whole life. So good passive income and abundance opportunities for the Aquariuses. With Mars in Aries, you're going to be a little sharp with the tongue. I would think twice before you say that to the boss or to the colleague. People need to run into walls and figure things out on their own. So just because doesn't mean you're here to stop it from happening. And I think that's one of the things where Aquas do have a hero complex in their mind. And so they have good intention, but again, we're in this age where it's time for us to stand up, and really, and practice what we preach. So instead of preaching, practice more, practice what you preach, and you'll be in perfect alignment with society and with your teams. And then Pluto retrograde in your sign, you're going to feel kind of achy, whiny, with really your behavior and your responses. This is sort of like being on the golf course and not happy with your swing ever, really having this, keep your pep in your step, keep yourself positive, keep your attitude high when you respond to yourself. Really treat yourself really well. This is where you're learning how to be a Leo a little bit, and you're learning how to love yourself a bit more than you normally do. So, when you put this all together, when it's about emotional feelings, trying to make money, ego in your talk, a little grouchy with your self-treatment, Aquariuses are sort of set up to fire off, just like Aries this month, to maybe, do something you would rather you hadn't said, right? Or say something you rather you hadn't. All right. And then for our final, the Pisces. Pisces, you are manifesting a new self-talk, a new way of talking to yourself, about yourself, for yourself. This new positive attitude, this like sort of good angel on your shoulder, basically is what's launching, and the bad devil on your shoulder is being retired. We're talking about in your own thoughts. And so by being positive and productive in your thinking with yourself, without putting yourself through unnecessary drama, without making big things out of tiny little details, you're going to really start to have a good attitude about yourself. And that good attitude about yourself is really the secret recipe to you being magical and manifesting anything you want. It's just inside your own self, having a positive, valuable attitude, a productive attitude, a supportive attitude, and one that's based on security, not lack. Now, with Mars conjuncting Neptune, this is about character and action plan, since it is in your sign. So you really are pushing the envelope about who you are. It's definitely a time to be a little more daring and take risk. If you're feeling called to it, then yes, the answer is yes, because it is destined what this character you're meant to become. You're meant to become this person and this character at this time. And so, go forward with that. And it's some sort of a spiritual mission you decided to have with God. That's also for Pisces risings, by the way. Mars in Aries means that you're going to be very aggressive about self-worth, about money, about chasing that money, money, money. So, try not to overreact to debts or overreact to any sort of challenges with the prices right now. Just focus on where the price is right. I can't believe I said that, but focus on where the price is right. Take the path of least resistance. Don't overcomplicate the financing of things, and don't buy more than you need right now with Mars and Aries. And then with Pluto at 2 degrees retrograde, it's in the house of inner faith. So you're going to be a little whiny when it comes to having faith. Okay. What comes to mind is C-3PO in Star Wars, where it's like, oh Lord, the odds are 400,000 to 1. That's kind of how I think Pisces could turn into, where you could start like calculating the bad odds instead of calculating the good odds. You've got to like deliberately force boundaries around, having faith and holding on to the faith. And you have to just be, you're better off being, the fool, as in the fool card, walking off the ledge, than you are to second guessing whether or not you should be afraid or if you should have faith. You should have absolute faith right now. And come Thursday, it'll be harder than usual for you to do that. All righty. Fun stuff, folks. Well, we're going to have a little intermission here. We're going to replay the zodiac weather and anything else we can throw on the fire. When I come back, it's going to be Julie Resler, and we're going to talk about everything under Soul God. Can't wait to talk to her. Keep streaming. We'll be right back. Weather's from Saturday, April 27th to Friday, May 3rd, 2024. First, looking ahead at the weekend moodcast. Over the weekend, you're finally wrapping up what you are worth, and it's intuitive, and it's going to stick. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and immersed. Step 7 means that Neptune rules the day. This is a day where you are ultimately manifesting your faith and realizing your spiritual self-worth lessons. You're overcoming any karmic patterns you have when it comes to self-worth and coming into a new spiritual truth. And with the moon in Sagittarius, you're also rewriting your story day to day. On Sunday, it's sunny and wishful. Step 8 means that Saturn will rule this day. This will be much more of a conservative day, a day of taking responsibility for things, at least on the inside. You're manifesting the consent to what you want to do and committing to what you really feel is worthy within you. And as the moon crosses the galactic center, your heart feels committed to this future. And then once the moon moves into Capricorn, you become certain about your feelings. Moving on to the 5-day week ahead. Over the week, you're going to take that new commitment to self-worth and then explore how you can spend it in daily life. On Monday, it's sunny and diligent. Step 9 indicates that Mars rules the day. You're feeling charged up. You're ready to make some change. You'll be investing your self-worth into some sort of life transformation. Your faith may be a little tested as you move forward officially with something you feel destined about. Venus will enter into Taurus, which will cool things off, but also make you seek security. But with the moon in Capricorn, it's all about business. On Tuesday, it's sunny and surveying. Step 10 means it's a Grandmaster day of Taurus, and so Earth rules the day. You are manifesting on this day your new self-worth or self-esteem and really feel yourself coming together on the inside. The moon shifts from Capricorn to Aquarius, so you start to feel a new you on the inside. And once Mars enters into Aries, you have less patience with yourself. On Wednesday, it's sunny and chill. Step 11 indicates that Chiron rules the day. This is a day of coming into your integrity and authenticity. You'll be hyper aware of your body and your health, and you're coming into a new self-worth alignment with daily life. Now, you're also starting to feel what's not in alignment in your outer life. And with Venus squaring Pluto, you're also reconciling your self-worth and where your emotional boundaries live day to day. So it's going to be basically a day of coming together that may start off a little insecure, but ends up feeling in your alignment. On Thursday, it's sunny and pioneering. Step 12 indicates that Jupiter now rules the day. We're in the second chapter of the Sun in Taurus. And now it's time to take that new self-worth and begin to explore where you can spend it in daily life. In other words, where you can upgrade the value of daily life. So on this day, I think you're feeling hopeful and optimistic. You're expanding your life's investments. And Pluto stations retrograde, which means you're no longer being pushed to raise your vibration. And that also means it's not as easy to protect your vibration. And then on Friday, it's going to be sunny and epic. Step 13 means that Uranus rules the day. You are going to feel like taking your investments to the next level. You may have some good news that comes in as well that opens up some new doors. You're manifesting a little disruption, but that can be a good thing. It's time to take whatever you want and see where it goes. Mars will sextile Pluto, so now you're reconciling your ego and strength with where the vibe needs to be within you. And with the moon in Pisces, this may feel all too familiar or karmic.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented light workers and innovative influencers of our time. One of the topics I'm personally fascinated by is our universal ability for humans to connect and share information. And tonight's guest is a powerhouse of a messenger. Julie Resler is an intuitive guide, manifestation coach, and spiritual teacher. She hosts the estYou podcast, is the author of the Amazon top pick, Get PhD'd in You. I love this brand, and founder of the Intuitive Life Designer Coach Academy. Julie has been featured in Forbes, Mind Body Green, the Chopra Center, Bustle, Thrive Global, and as a multi-time TEDx speaker. I'm so glad Mercury's direct for that. Julie holds a master's degree in health and wellness coaching. She's a professor at Georgetown University and is a mentor to hundreds of light leaders and conscious coaches across the world, making changes and helping soulful entrepreneurs. So please join me in sending some waves of love and light and gratitude to our guest tonight, Step 2 Sagittarius, Julie Resler. Hello.
Hey,
I feel like we need
Christopher.
applause. Like I said backstage, it's nice to meet you. You have bright, wonderful energy, by the way. All your videos are bright and wonderful. I guess I always like to start with my guests, because I think there's a lot of aspiring people out there who want to pursue what we do. How did you stumble upon this? I read in one of your things that, that it had to do with some sort of a war with M&Ms.
Yeah. You want the real deal answer is, and you've actually been talking about this, that finding the grand I, so to speak, has been a lot of the lower moments for me. I struggled really openly, honestly, with addiction, specifically actually in food and sugar addiction. I know you were talking about this earlier with caring for our bodies, and I really hit a low point, and you would never have known this on the outside. Maybe it's the Sag thing. I don't know. No one had a clue. I was really, really struggling a lot with that. People pleasing, not enoughness. I was in a marriage at the time, very good person, not the right fit. And I just grabbed for, I mean, M&Ms were like, they were my vice. And I always said, you know, you don't get pulled over for having bags and bags of M&Ms, but I should have been. I was a little nutso, a little, you know, out of my tree, and really struggled. And through that challenging years and years and years of using and abusing food to not want to feel, as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, I didn't know how to process emotions. I didn't know how to take in the information coming to me and know how to ground myself. And really, for me, it was getting into a support group and then doing all of this inner work that led me on this deep spiritual path. And I'm so grateful because I having that aspect of looking at the shadow and looking, you know, at the parts of us that are beautiful and seeing the holism in all of it, it's helped me to really heal and to be somebody who, you know, can have these conversations and be of service, hopefully, in a greater way.
It's fascinating. Had I not just done the horoscopes, I wouldn't be able to say that you're just like so right on where Sagittarius's are. I mean, and I'm wondering because I don't know if you watched it, and it's okay if you didn't,
Yeah.
but like,
Oh yeah.
you might have been prepping. Um, that like right now, Sages for the first time are sort of feeling comfortable in that stress-free, healthy body. So you've been at this for a long time, but I'm just curious, how are you feeling in this Taurus season as far as that relationship to your body since you've come so far?
I was taking notes, by the way. I was listening. I loved all the comments. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, as again, as an empath, I'm like, these are my people. This is my space. Like, this is so fun. So yeah,
Yay.
I resonated with everything you said, especially that aspect of finding home in our bodies and self. I've years and years, 25 years of some deep, deep, deep inner work. And it's actually interesting because it's literally in this last like few days, I did all these different, you know, health assessments and things that you got to do. I'm about to hit the 50th time around the planet, our sun. And so
Yay.
all
Chiron
those,
return.
yep. So I'm just doing all those things to take care of myself. And I had this moment of, all is well. I just feeling at home in my body and so grateful, and you know, realizing as things shift and change, just to be grateful. I was saying this to a friend today. We can't even put a price tag on our bodies, on the genius of how they're designed, the cells, the blood, you know, blood vessels, the organs and tissues. And I finally do feel, I'm like, wow, you know, I like the rest of us sometimes wake up and I'm like, whoa, okay. But just feeling at home, you know, in my body, that's a gift. That's a miracle. For me, many years, I wanted to do anything but stay in this body.
Mm. And how did I mean, I think there's an unfair advantage. I mean, the foods are all designed to be addictive and to hit certain parts of the brain. And you know, if it was like, you know, seedless grapes, I don't know if you would have popped as many as you did M&Ms, you know what I mean?
Probably not.
In fairness, I do love M&Ms too. It's like making me want one right now just talking about it. Um, what do you feel that that was really about, like at the core? Because so many people really struggle with that even now. And is it self-love? Was it emotional?
Yeah.
Where were you extinguishing fire?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And as a fire sign with a lot of fire,
Yeah.
which you probably saw, there's a lot of fire, you know, and I think for me, and I have a feeling others listening, like attracts like, you know, first of all, sugar and things like that. I'm not saying it doesn't have a place sometimes, but it's highly addictive. There's no nutritional value. I think what it did, again, being empathic and feeling so much and not knowing how to ground myself, and then also feeling, frankly, I was, you know, I would say that I did the people pleasing, that role really well. When you're in people pleaser role, when you're in that space of I just want to make sure everyone's happy, what happens is we're not in ourselves. So that abandonment, and what's under that is really a lack of self-love. I mean, you said it, and worthiness.
Mm.
And as I was listening from the beginning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm just resonating and relating. For me, I think both not knowing how to handle emotions where I felt not good enough, where I felt that lack of trusting and confidence in myself and loving myself, and then not sure how to handle so many emotions and energy around me that I was picking up of others. I loving parents. My dad was a veteran, Vietnam veteran, had a lot of trauma from
Mm.
that, and I picked up my mom's anxiety. I think that for me, that sugar food, it was like all I, you know, I have compassion for myself. That's how I grounded myself in those days. Um, the issue is that I never really learned to deal with those emotions until I did, and not always easy. But I have found that going to, as Rumi says, going to the root of the wound, and really looking and getting, oh my gosh, at the base and the bottom of it, it's a lack of feeling love for myself. And I really do believe for most all of us, at the root of the root, there's a lack of self-love. And that's the piece, at least for me, I would say, and many people I've worked with, that learning to love yourself fully, unconditionally, compassionately, it's healing, it's healing, and it allows to hold space for all the emotions. So it's been a long, strange trip. As
I hear you, girl. We're just a year apart. I know that quote.
Yeah,
Um,
right. The dead.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I can totally hear it. How can you just give some advice for how in that moment when you were grabbing for that M&M, what exactly, what allowed you to turn? What did you say to yourself? How did you shift it? Do you remember the moment that it shifted to something you were on top of instead of something that was on top of you?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is just my experience, and everyone has, I know of many people, my family and friends that have gone through different kinds of addiction and different kinds of challenges in their life. For me, I really got to a point, Christopher. And again, if you had seen me at this time, this was like almost 25 years ago, you would never have known this. I was really good at, I mean, I smile a lot. Like it just seemed like, oh, she's happy. But inside, I really wasn't. And I remember because I had found out about a support group and they had these meetings. I live outside of the DC area. And I had like, this is old school. We didn't have phones then. So I'd printed out like the meetings. It was in the car.
The
This first
directions?
directions. Yes, the church where the meeting was. And I was like, oh my God, this is for, honestly, in my opinion, at that time, I was like, this is for losers. I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to have to go and talk about food issues and emotions. It was the last thing I wanted to do. And this is where I would actually say the break for me happened. I was driving. It was a really lovely May early evening, like 5 o'clock. And I just remember I could not stop eating these M&Ms. I just could not. If anyone's ever dealt with addiction, it's scary. Drinking, whatever it might be, I couldn't stop. I literally, it was this huge bag. I was so nauseous. I mean, I felt so sick. And I remember the thought went in my head, you could just drive into the tree. You should just drive into the tree. Like that's what you
Whoa.
really, like, even saying it's like makes me want to cry, because it was really, really a low point. And I remember that was that voice of there is no option, right? And then from somewhere else, my higher self, the voice of divine love, of connection, said, go to the meeting now. And I looked down and there was a meeting that was starting like 5 minutes later. And I was
Wow.
really close to it without meaning to be. And I drove up. I was like sitting in the back. I was so embarrassed. It was like, but I heard this voice. This is where it started to shift. And I heard, Julie, if you go to this meeting, your whole life will change. It will change from here. I didn't see that right away. Honestly, it took time. It took time. I won't say a long time. It took time to do the excavating process. But that night, that was really powerful for me. And, you know, thank God I listened to that voice, the voice that I'm really so passionate about for all of us, that intuitive, loving, divine knowing in us. It's why I'm so all about the idea of tuning into intuition. It's saved my life. It's done this many times, but that was one time I know for sure that because I listened, it saved my life that night.
Hmm. Well, that's powerful. And it's also kind of a funny image, you walking in with chocolate smeared all over your mouth and a bag of M&Ms. It's like,
Not the
I need
best.
help. It's adorable though. And but that just goes to show you too. I mean, also the symbolism of something like that too. It's really the symbolism and self-love, and it's put into that place. And thank you for sharing, because I do think with a lot of my clients, I mean, one of the things that we have no skill set on is our emotional coping skills. We're not raised with them. And even mindfulness, it's like even modern, I don't know what you're, where you're observing or what you're watching in society, but even modern education with mindfulness, okay, but you're not dealing with the emotional issues behind the mindfulness. So it's like, again, we're still not quite getting it. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to, giving people these skill sets. So you're coming, so you broke the habit, you had support, you recognize you were trying to fill an emotional void. at what point do you own a successful podcast? Like, how does that, how did that leap happen?
Yeah, and this is where I believe, often at our darkest, most challenging moments and times in our life when we choose, right, with our heart to go forth with our heart, to embrace the challenge, to really go in it, right, not to bypass it, to go in it. And this was like the last thing I wanted to do. Fast forward, what ended
Mhm.
up happening, I did a lot of excavation of myself and really started to actually love myself. I remember I started doing, for anyone who's read The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, I
I
started.
love the artist way. I started that like age 19. Yeah.
Yes, and I did artist dates. I was doing dates with myself. I remember at the time I was married to my first husband. I was like, I'm going on a date with myself. I will see you later.
Like,
Um,
what?
yeah, he's like, okay, all righty then. But it changed my life to start to date myself. I really think there's something to that. And in this process, over time, um, I have two children that are teenagers now. At the time, they were really young, and I'll get to the make this as short as possible. But
No,
did
you're
a
Sag. We're used to the story.
I know, right? I'm so like sad right
Uh-huh.
now. I'm like, oh
Uh-huh.
God.
Uh-huh.
Just talking and talking. No problem there. I had a pretty intense wake up call. I'll just say again, my intuition woke me up and was in so many ways was like, the life you're in right now it's not working for you. This is not where you are meant
Oh,
to be. It was one
goodness.
of the second hardest moments of my life. And I guess I'm an experiential learner. I ended up, from that experience, we separated as amicably as humanly possible, graciously. I went deeper into doing inner spiritual work and personal development work. I decided to go back after being in a program where I was coaching. I went back to get my master's degree from an integrative, holistic perspective of coaching. Was
Mm,
working full time, had two kids under the age of like 4. It was a nightmare in terms of like timing, but
mm,
spirit, the divine, whatever you call it, my higher self, it also felt one of the most aligned moments. And so I would say, and that was 12 years ago. So
Last Jupiter Taurus. Last time Jupiter was in Taurus. That's interesting.
yes. So I started my business about 10 years ago and started the podcast, I would say about 6.5 years ago. For me, Christopher, and this is something I live my life this way. When I get a knowing, I would say it sounds like my heart has a microphone and is like, hey, Julie, you're going to start a podcast. I literally heard like over and over again, start a podcast, start a podcast. And I thought, okay, okay. I don't know what the heck to how that what that means. I'm gonna just do it. And that for me, following that, as some people say, good orderly direction, right? Like God, good orderly direction.
Yes.
Really, it has changed my life. It's been a healing in my life. And I, had people that I'd started to meet through different programs I was in, masterminds, and had these just luminaries and guests. You've got to come on, like for sure. And
Love to.
it's been so healing because, of course, and not just sharing with my beautiful listeners, but I'm getting the benefit of these luminaries and experts and spiritual teachers. So it's been a gift. I follow those good orderly directions, Christopher. Today I'm like, okay, you want me to go write another book? You want me to go like stand on the top of the bridge and sing like I love you? Okay, I gotcha. Like I'm doing it. Yeah.
Sages are always willing to be on the adventure, go on the adventure, go to the exotic place. And it's cute to see Sages doing that in this lifetime with like, the artist's way, for instance. The Celestine prophecy is very Sagittarius, in my opinion, if you read that book in our time. It sounds like you're on your own Celestine prophecy. Where did you get the title "you"? What does "you" mean?
Well, it's funny as I was listening, and here's I'll tell you, I have been like, the last, I would say 8 years since it came to me, I've been like, what is that? What does that mean? And every time I interview somebody or I hear you were talking about the grand eye manifesting, right? I was like, it's like, oh yeah, that's what it means. And that's what it means. For me, So I was working with some friends that they are spiritual. They do branding from a spiritual lens, and I knew they were the right. They've become very close friends. I knew that they were the right people because they said, Julie, what like animal spirit is your brand? And I was like, that is really crazy. You asked me this morning. I went walking and I saw a deer, and she was staring at me, and I was like, I need to bring in the energy of a deer to my business. And so I was like, we're in the right space. And we were talking and they were like, what is it that you feel so passionate about? I said, I just feel like so many of us, most of us we forget the grander I, the soul, the higher self that is always with us, guiding us here. And, I really believe that authenticity, that being connected to your higher self, the choice between fear and love, right? That choice of love, of compassion, of soul self. To me, that's your USU, and it's unique for each person. We're all unique expressions of the divine. It's that grand I, and it's going to shift and grow and evolve. It's not static. So we came up, I was like, it's just like, no, nothing is more, it's like your USU. And then I realized, oh my gosh, Dr. Seuss used the words, no one is more youer than you. And I was like, did I
Oh, that's
just
so
take
wow.
that? And I was like, I didn't even know that, but it's okay. It's not the same trademark, the whole thing. But I realized I love Dr. Seuss, and I grew up with his books. And I thought, there's a little like funniness and playfulness to it, which is, as a Sag, I love fun, love
Hmm.
so that's the idea, it's to inspire each of us to really tap in and to honor our gifts, our strengths, the divinity, the uniqueness, the authenticity, your energy, your all of it, to really embrace it. And I embrace the fact that I've struggled with food addiction. I sometimes have anxiety. That's been one that I did not want to look at for a long time. And it's like that's part of what makes me is me, and it's okay. And that self-love, I believe, is baked in. When we say, I want to be, being your used to me, underneath that, the root of that is self-love.
Mm. And you're a wellness expert and you're a life coach. How does your business work? To do individual sessions?
So I do individual sessions. I also still teach at Georgetown University. I've been there almost a decade. And I
Wow.
used to teach at my school, Maryland University of Integrative Health. It was one of the first integrative schools on the East Coast. And then about 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I woke up right in the beginning of 2020 and I heard, Julie, you must start a certification program. It's like, what
Mm.
talking about? Like, I did not have that on a bucket list. That was not on anything. But now we're going into almost 4.5 years. I have a spiritual life coach certification program. It is, and I use this word really. I'm very careful with words. I say it's it's mind glowing, right? Like my thing is like we don't want our minds to be blown. So I'm like, let's change that. It's mind glowing, and I've had students from all over
Mind glowing.
mind glowing.
That's cute. That's very Sag. Yeah.
Just make
Sag
it
and
up.
their little wordsmiths. Yeah. Yeah. I can see your Sag branding and stuff. It's cool. I
You're
love that
like,
about Sages
"Where's
too.
that?"
And actually, I was asking you too. So you have a certification program for life coaches, spiritual life coaches. And really, what I was circling around there and I dropped it miserably is that I just wondered how in your coaching, you help people find the UST you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, let's land the plane a little because I could go off in like the ethers.
Come on, Sag. Come on now.
Yeah, I think Aquarius rising, right? I think that
Yeah,
will
yeah,
add
yeah. So we can go to planets. We can go anywhere on Earth. It's like a total travel plan. Yeah.
wherever you want to go. I'm
I
ready
love
for
that.
it. Adventure. I love the ethers. Like you do. I have no earth in my chart. You probably saw that. So like seriously, the grounding thing is no joke for somebody like
Yeah.
me.
That's what I'm just like holding on to your feet right now. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
hold her down, hold her down. Um, so in terms of helping people, first of all, one of the best ways to get to your goals, your USU, is in your heart. I've done a lot with the Heart Math Institute and Heart Intelligence, and so
Mm.
really going to like what's on fire for you. I know I'm saying that sounds like a Sag fire, but seriously, like what lights you up? Where is your energy? I think we know energy is everything. And I've worked with C-suite executives. I've worked with all different kinds of people, moms, everyone, men, women, everyone in between. I mean, I've just at this point quite a lot of people, individuals, and when you get people into their energy and what's true and what's in your heart, there's like a truth serum that comes out. And I've practiced listening at a very deep level. I think having highly skilled intuitive abilities, it's part of what I teach, but
Mm.
certainly having developed that myself, and they've just gotten, I would say, woo, like opened a lot. I love to listen for what is it you really like, what's your why? Why are you, what is it you love? What do you really want here on this planet in your life? And let's look at that and how do we help you to get it? What's getting in the way? But I don't love to focus, we do focus on that a little bit, but it's always where's your energy? Where's your heart? How would it feel to have that? And, everybody's different. So there's not like I don't do the same coaching session with everyone, but I do have what's called the sacred coach approach. That's what I teach. And it
Mm.
really,
Another
yeah,
rhyming cute brand.
I know. I can't help myself.
It's like everything's a Kellogg's commercial. It's amazing.
I can't help it. And I keep getting these like spirit guy. I don't know. I'm just hearing like, do sacred, do this. I'm like, all right, well, you know me. This
Yeah,
love.
I think it's adorable. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. Our ability to listen at a level, I think most people are starving for that, honestly,
Yeah.
Christopher. I really do. And so listening from that place of deep, 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 what are you saying? What are you not saying? What's going on in your body and your energy and your what is your spirit wanting you to know here? So I do bring in intuition as well, which just makes it fun.
Hmm. Do you find what level of client do you attract? Do you tend to work with? Like in my case, I'm literally teaching people how to find their heart again. So a lot of the people that follow me have lost their way. They've found themselves in their mind. Their mind's overwhelming everything, or their fears overwhelming everything. So a lot of times I'm like, let's just follow your heart. They're like, how do I find my heart? Like, what do you say when someone asks, I can't hear the voice in my heart?
Yeah, I think we're in a similar soul family because I always say I get recovering left brain people, which of course I have been in that myself. I grew up in the Boston area, like legit, no kidding, next to all the colleges, universities. It was like a nightmare that way, in the sense that it's so left brain focused. And so, I think
Yeah, there you go.
there you go. There's a practice. There's a lot of different kinds of practices for many, 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 some men, many women that I work with that are very high achieving, ambitious. Like I have things to do. I get stuff done. I want to be, my goals, very left brain. This needs to make sense. It's so important to get into your body, to get into
Mm.
a place of really grounding and connecting in, learning how to connect to your heart. So I do a lot of practices around that. I actually teach that in my program as well. But I first you got to, and then you got to start. I do a lot around tracking your evidence. You got to start look at the past. Where have you followed your heart and intuition and where have you not, and look and see what happened when I did that. And I actually have a whole mind map. I did this and it was mind blowing. It was mind opening. I really saw, oh my gosh, it is a whole different way to live when I'm going with logic and left thinking first. It's not that we want it, it's important. I've done a lot around whole brain living, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor's work. We want the left brain. However, I believe we want it to follow the right side and the heart. And that can take a lot of practice and sometimes doing a little research and seeing, okay, when have I followed it before? What happened? And sometimes I think for many of us who are empathic and highly sensitive, or just in tune with others' energy, it means that we are super open heart. Having that open heart can feel vulnerable. So some
Hmm.
of this is also learning to feel safe to be open-hearted. I interviewed a medium recently, and she said, actually, for many of us who are empathic, we are so open-hearted, we got to get in our bodies, we got to ground. And so learning how to ground your energy and to get into how do things feel? Where do you feel them? It's not just what is your head saying. There was a quote, I don't know who said this, it was to the tune of, your intuition is 1,000 times more accurate than logic. And I
Hmm.
really believe that.
Oh yeah, I got great grades. I learned I was psychic, very early on. It was a game I played with myself, but I was a straight B plus A minus student from psychic lessons, psychic answers. I could feel the answer, especially like a multiple choice, easy. So yeah, I completely concur with that. I found too with my research with clients that a lot of times that hearts are closed down as like a false boundary. And so if they don't have close boundaries, they're not feeling safe. If there's no safety there, then the heart can't open up, I've noticed. And so sometimes people who can't find their heart aren't feeling safe. So they've withdrawn, they've sort of, pulled back from their awareness. But it seems to me it's such a simple equation. This, follow your heart. It just really can't take you wrong. Can't- you know, Nothing else tells us to do that. So tell us about your life coaching program now. You're helping people become spiritual life coaches.
Yeah, and I love what you said about the safety piece. To me, that with this cute sacred coach approach, it's the first thing that we look at is creating sacred space and safety. And it's the same thing with each of us. And that would be a question I would ask anyone listening now or later, is really looking at how can I create more safety with myself. So with the life coaches that I train, and we've had from all over the world, it's been amazing. There's a huge focus on creating that sacred space and that safety. And of course, to do that, to create that, you've got to have that, you've got to create that with yourself. So
Mhm.
even just starting with learning practices, grounding practices, how do you balance your chakras? How do you make sure that you are taking time every day to do mindfulness practices, meditating, but like you said, that not to make it like, oh, we have so much to do, but making sure that you have support. I do have mentor coaches that also mentor these students, so they have extra coaching sessions, but they are really taught A to Z with how to be a coach, and that is everything from how to listen at that deep level, how to ask those kinds of questions that are going to unlock something new. We know that the brain, because we still have a brain, we do, as human beings, you want to ask questions that are really going to get to the heart of the heart. And so learning how to ask those kinds of questions. And there's a huge piece on
Mm.
intuition. How do you honor your intuition and really use that and help your clients so that, it's not just you're bringing in your higher self in theirs as well.
Mm. I think that the most profound shift of focus in the new era is that the answer is inside of us instead of outside of us. Like to me, that's the fundamental boundary right there. And of course, it's a bit absurd to a scientist that the answer would be, they would call that your imagination, that kind of thing. What is your approach to helping people identify? So I think that a lot of my work is that helping people identify those voices within them, the voice of the heart versus the voice of the mind, which we all know, the voice of the emotion. Even the ego has a voice that gets pissed off and competitive. What is your guidance for someone to identify the voice of their intuition?
I love this question. I'm like, okay, Julie, how much time do we have? I'm going to really try to
I
bottom
think I
line.
saw the lights dim in your room there. Something,
Yeah, you're like,
something just got really intense.
oh, it's one of my favorite questions. Well, and I will say I've done a lot of different kinds of inner spiritual journeying and work. I also, sure you've heard of A Course in Miracles, which is,
Yes, you're hitting all the all-time Gen X favorites.
I
This
know,
is a Gen
right?
X, this is a Gen X Lightworker playlist. This is like
Oh,
a
geez.
commercial at
I
midnight with like the titles going up and such hits as
Now we're going to hear Roxette, Listen to Your Heart. I really feel like that's
yeah.
next.
Yeah,
Oh, God, I am like aging myself, but that is all right. I'm sure there's
it
like one or
is.
two people that are like, I'm in a Gen X.
It's time for us to own it. We can't be X now. We have to be like we can't be XXX either because that's bad. So
Yeah,
it's kind of a no way with the Xers.
I know.
But
Pretend I know, but I'm not. Yeah.
Course in
So
Miracles, yes, of course. Yeah, also very popular in origin. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, look at there's, it boils down to, right, like it's fear or love, right? So it's a lot of what I teach. We go into this very, very in a deep way, both how to learn how to use your intuition. I teach people how to do muscle testing, how to use their
Mm,
body as a pendulum. I can teach right now, quick. This is fantastic and easy. Our bodies don't lie. You could go read The Body Keeps the Score and many other books that really get into that. Your intuition, so I was just thinking of a student the other day. It was like, your question, how do I know? And we went through, well, what did you notice when you heard or sensed that voice? And she said, interestingly, it was kind of quiet. And it just kind of said, trust me, trust myself here. So we were listening and I said, so you felt calm, went through what she felt. And we talked, there was someone else who shared, and she was like, I don't know if this was my intuition or not, but it was freaking out. And I said, first of all, intuition, in my humble opinion, in the many years I've been doing this, it's never going to yell at you. It's not going to make you, you're not going to get like a fearful, you should. When you get you should, that is ego. It's
Mm-hmm.
typically going to be a voice or a sense or feeling. I know not everyone hears it or sees something, that usually it might be a little more on the kind of, this is just what it is. There's a calm sort of truth to it. Now, dealing with it, when I heard, you are not okay here, when I woke up at 333 in the middle of the night and realized I was not in the right space in my life and my marriage, that was not very easy to deal with. But when I heard that voice, it was very calm and collected. There was a truth to it. And I really got, okay, there's something here to pay attention to. So intuition, it's going to have a feeling of there's a truth, there's a peace, there's a calmness to the way you sense it. When you get that like fear or yelling or judging, just look at your past yourself. Look at a couple different experiences where you got a gut feeling, right? And you might have listened or you didn't. And how did it connect with you? I've never ever had anybody who's had an intuition that was coming from a yelling, angry, negative, judging place. Never. Um, I personally believe at the base of it all is love. And from that is going to be a compassionate, often very clear message. So it's when you start to look at it and play with it and practice it and track the evidence, it becomes, and everyone, we all are experts in ourselves. It's the first thing I teach with coaching. So you've got to start looking at your own self and notice, do you feel it? Do you sense it? Do you get for me, I have a guttural sound I make. Like I've really learned, it's kind of weird, but it's true. Like I go, and when I do that and I lean in, I know that's a yes. When I hear that voice, that says, try this in a calm way, I know that. So we all have our own beautiful secret language, intuitive language. I think it's on each of us to say, I am worthy enough to spend time to really to decode it because it's unique for each of us. But I totally believe we all have batteries included, these intuitive batteries included. I really do. And it's never going to shame you. It's never going to make you feel, you're not good enough or scared. It's not going to do that. That's not the way it comes in. That's my experience, at least.
I agree. I, to me, what I teach people too, that has a certain, so vibration has a sensation that comes across as a feeling. So for me, I discovered it, and this is just, I think, helpful to people watching, that I would notice that when I would do readings, about 7 minutes, 9 minutes into the reading, I would go into this zone where the information was just coming up without me having to think about it. So it took a while, like riding a bike at first, but then I recognized that that zone has a certain feeling. I feel a certain way when I'm in that zone. And I realized, oh, that's like the psychic IP address right there. That's where that voice is. And to your credit, it is very calm. In fact, I always tell people when you hear bad news, when real bad news comes from your higher self, it's completely calm. It's like so and so's going to die. And there's no emotion, there's no warning, you're amazed at how calm you are at the information. You can't believe you're so calm hearing this and you know it's true. There's also a knowing, I think, right? Like you just know it's true. You bet your life dollars to donuts kind of thing. So how much do you live your life by intuition? Like, are you, you know, choosing products in grocery stores by your gut? Are you, to how nano is it get as far as a mystic in the moment?
Oh, I love that. That's a great question. I wish if I remarried, my husband would come and take the mic and be like, "Oh, she's living her whole freaking life by this," because
Oh, it's like, thank you. Is this a support group?
exactly. What is this? Yeah, this is Julie's place because no, you will find me Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. I'm taking like I will hold something. I've just at this point I have no shame anymore. I really don't care. I will
Mhm.
grab whatever it is that I'm not sure about. And for me, because of the years of mistreating my body. I think the gift is I had a thyroid condition and I changed my whole lifestyle. So I am very, very intentional about what I put in my body. Actually, the question really is this loving? Is this going to be loving for my body? Do I 100% always? Sometimes I eat things that are not 100% loving, but for the most part, I really try, and I will take whatever it is and I'll hold it. This just happened the other day. I was like, maybe now I can have rice. Maybe rice will be okay. I put it to my chest. I just felt it and I was like, shoot, I'm like, I can feel muscle testing it. I'm not moving forward with it. Sorry, there's some weird energy and I'm getting a little static, but I'm here.
Oh, that's yeah. You mentioned putting rice up to your chest, and suddenly it started jumbling.
Yeah,
Some
spirits
sort
are
of witch
like,
spell or something. Okay.
they're like, stop with the chest and rice. That's weird. Just move on.
The universe is definitely censoring there or something. Actually, we've been going between timeline energies or something like the whole broadcast.
Oh, for real? Oh,
It
I
could
didn't
just
realize
be us to us, like you and I. The connection between each other is just like, there's something going on there.
something.
But so you'll sort of test like what food is good for your body, what food's not good for your body.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I will test it. Look, I say, my whole business, my life is powered by intuition. And the times that I have not listened, I really try to track this. It helps me with the analytical left side of my brain is like, but let's track it. Let's see. We got to make sure. Well, I have enough evidence now. I mean, I have enough evidence. If I get a not sure, what I've learned is that's not now, right? So if it's not
Hmm.
heck yes, it's a no, not yet, or not now. And my business, I just made a decision to shut one thing down and finally got a deeper insight about what's next. But I don't know, Christopher, maybe it's blind faith, it's full-time faith, whatever you want to call it for the most part. Now I have support and I have a team of friends, they know who they are. I call them angels because have a Sag as a friend is no joke. So these friends, these people, in my life, I call them if I'm feeling scared, but I do trust it. I follow it. I would say 99% of my life is run by intuition. The 1% is when I take my will back and become stubborn in my Aries moon. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it my way. And it's usually not so fun.
Oh, that Aries moon, no comment. Just kidding.
How to
I'm
bring
not
it
judging. It's experience. I fought the law and the Aries law won. Um,
in. That's
so so energetically, I'm just kind of curious, do you find yourself, for instance, I'm trying to show people how you use in your daily life. Are
yeah,
you picking up information on people you're not saying? Sometimes I have a problem, for instance, where I work with a lot of people who are not intuitive.
yeah,
And actually in my company, we're all intuitives, but we also have vendors, like people who just aren't into this. You're like, they're like, you're astronomers. Where's your planetarium? I'm like, no, it's horoscopes. And, like, and so a lot of times my intuition will say, nope, it's going to be this way.
yeah,
And their logic wants to take it all these different ways. And when they say that's not the logical way to do it, I'm like, I know, but I want to do the illogical way anyways. Do you
right.
come into those situations as an empath intuitive?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have a small team, bless them. They know me well. And there have been times it can be very frustrating. I think this is a little bit of like the visionary entrepreneur thing anyhow, but we're working on a program, working on the pages and all of the emails, the things, right? And then I get a insight like, nope, this has to change. Nope, I don't want to do it this way. It has to be this word. This actually just happened. um, th I have a small but mighty team at this point, know me so well. I do love emojis. I'll add in a ton of hearts and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, we're gonna have to change this up. And I think at this point they just know, they're like, okay, like if that's what you feel intuitively. It's happened. Look, I get a lot of requests about my podcast and being on it, and for me, a lot of that is, it's not just, I get a feeling, I get a sense, I can feel somebody's energy very, very, very fast. And so making decisions like that, that can be challenging, but I trust that. There have been people that,
Yeah.
would have thought no. And I'm like, nope, I know and I could hear someone speak in a random workshop and I'm like, they need to be on my show. And then others that you would think, and I'm like, nope, that's not the right fit right now. I just know that. So there's a lot of I feel like there's like, what is it? We make plans and God laughs. It's like, I
Mhm.
feel like I make plans, God laughs, I laugh, we do a new plan, and that's the way it goes. Like, it's just, there's a lot of being flexible and needing to just be open. But yeah, no, I often will say, no, we're not doing that. I know that that's the way we're supposed to do it. I know that that's how others are doing it, but that's, no, I really try to follow my energy and what feels right because I've learned, Christopher, if I am not, and I believe this for all of us, if I'm not doing what's really my meest me, what's aligned for me, it's not going to translate. It's not going to translate. It's not going to reach the people I want it to. It just I can't fudge the energy. I really have to stay for me close to what's true for me.
Oh, for sure. I applaud that. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know where your status is now. You've been married before, but like dating is impossible to me. Like even when I was in my 20s and I was taken to a bar by a bunch of buddies, I'd be like, "Oh, she's not here. Let's go." And they'd be like, "What are you talking? There's a ton of hot chicks." I don't know. Like, I can feel it. She's not here. Let's go. Like I just can't dance. Like if there's no vibe there, I just know instantly. And it's a weird position to be in. And like you said, I'm so glad you shared with the show thing because that's kind of true with us at Astro Mingle too. Like sometimes I know I'm meant to mingle with you and sometimes I'm not meant to, and I don't know why it is. And I find out later for whatever reason. But it's really hard sometimes too to tell when you have no reason. I mean, in my business, it's like, well, my guides are saying no. And people are like, oh, okay, like bizarre, like Batman wannabe or something. But sometimes it's really hard to turn someone down um because your intuition is telling them they're like their logic, their heart is there, they're eager, they're like, why not me? And it's just like because I get this feeling. What feeling? It's like, oh man, there's no way this is going to happen, right? It's one of the moments of being an empath.
It's I have the weirdest talent, Christopher. I won't do it with you. And I most women hate this, but since I've been little, I can feel people's weight to the pound and their height and their size.
Weird talent.
I
Wow,
know, I know it's one of
that's
those,
weird.
no,
We need to have
really
like a psychic, like some sort of a psychic Guinness Book of World Records kind of thing. Where like
circus.
we just have all these weird psychic talents. Like I can tell a person's weight. It's my
Yeah,
superpower.
it's
That's
not what I
interesting.
really, yeah, it's what, but the feeling people's energy. So I also can feel and see and sense people's higher self, like the future vision of yourself. This has been happening for a long time. And that helps with coaching, of course. Now, the weight part, I don't usually bring that in because there's no need to. Although
Right.
recently I did a yoga teacher training and all of the participants were like, what's my weight? And like to the pound. I'm like, I just know you're 5'7", 123. I can feel you. I know it. I know it. And she's like, holy crap. I just weighed myself. And I'm like, I know I should be in a circus. I should be in a circus. But with the
Hmm.
dating and the so this is interesting with I remarried now and I knew with this person, I knew I
Yeah.
had a feeling even before I think he knew. And it wasn't like
Yeah.
I don't know how to I mean, I just knew for sure. And that what was cool was obviously him feeling the same, thank goodness. But I did
Whew.
know, and it's interesting because we've really like, there's we have a lot of differences. He's very introverted. He's like, how do you talk this much? Like, how do you do this? Um, Second Libra. So it's my second Libra now. I married the Libra first.
She's a serial Libraist.
I'm a Libra, I guess a little more evolved Libra. I don't know. Libra, I like, right? Liberal Libra. I don't know how to say it. You said it better.
Hmm.
But I do, and the other thing is when I feel that sometimes there'll be a guest and I'm like, oh, I just love you. Like I know we're gonna stay connected. And it may not happen right away. And it's very weird because I'm like, I don't want to be like, hey, I'm like fangirling you. But if when that happens, that does happen. It has happened that way. So, you have to, I just trust. I'm like, all right, but I'm still human and just want to make sure I'm not stalking people and I'm not like, same with saying no to somebody. I have a practice when I say no, I just say like to myself and to them, even in kind of before I send a note, I'll just say like, bless you and bless me. And may you find the place that you're meant to be, the show or the thing you're meant to.
Hmm.
Because I'm a, recovering people pleaser. It's not easy sometimes to say no, but I do trust my intuition. And that to me I think of my intuition as like a goddess, and she is reigns queen supreme.
Hmm. One of the problems I've always had is with past life wives. Like and you were talking about where like I instantly feel I've been married, we've had kids, we've been together. Like I feel almost instantly when I meet the person. I've had like a dozen of them that I processed through in the last 12 years, by the way. So God, I've been Little House on the Prairie lifetime after lifetime. And the weird thing for me is like, what do I say? Like, if you've come back into my life, there's a reason. I doubt it's to be romantic again because we did been there, done that. I know I got a wait list up there, not for me, like my own bucket list, but like, so I know it's unlikely to happen again. But like in those moments, like you said with your husband, you knew he didn't. How do you manage that? Like, I'm always like, for me, that's a stumbler as a light worker. I'm always like, should I say it? I'm gonna sound crazy. I don't want them to be like stalker, but a lot of people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I knew you in a past life." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Where'd we meet?" Like I'm totally open to that. Like I've had it since I was a child. But when it's reversed, I feel like a stalker, especially if it's a beautiful woman or something like that. It's just like, I don't want to be that guy, but I don't believe it or not, this is not a pickup line. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you need like a sign that says like, listen, like FYI. I'm an intuitive psychic medium, so what I'm saying, just hold with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not
Okay.
here's the sign.
Right.
I find it's funny. Thankfully now, maybe since I'm married, maybe the divine is like, we're going to spare you. This happens mainly sometimes with men, a few men that I've become good friends with, but it happens now more with women that I'm like, you've been a sister. I've been in a life with you. I know this. Like I actually just talked to a woman this morning. It's like a recognition, a soul recognition. I do think when it starts hitting into the dating scene, that can get kind of funky, and as a female, I didn't really date that long. This kind of happened pretty soon after I was, separated. So thankfully, I think my spirit guides were just like, we got to save her. This is going to be a disaster. She's just, we're gonna wrap this up quickly. So like, I didn't wait that long. It didn't happen. It wasn't that long of a time, but I will say it definitely is something I've always sensed since I was little. Like, I know you, we've done this.
Hmm.
And it happens sometimes. This is an interesting conversation. This happens sometimes with people I'm supposed to work with, or
Hmm.
get a download. There's a woman in my program. We had done a intuitive training thing together. I just knew. I was like, oh my God, you're in this program. I see you. I see in it. I know you're gonna love it. And then I'm like, shoot, that just sounds so shady. I'm not. And I said to her, if you don't do it, please, like it's fine. I'm just telling you, I really actually like I legit saw you in it. I think you would love it. And I was like, go talk to other people who've done it. Cause I feel like that integrity piece is so important, but it's like the dating scene. It could be with when you're in business. Like seriously, and she is loving it. It is a good fit. That can be weird, like, I see myself working with you. I see, and like, I do sometimes. That does happen. Um,
Hmm.
so how to do that in a way, I usually just say, listen, I just try to do it on attachment. Like whatever you decide, it's just what I'm sensing. And then here it is. I think it's similar with dating. It's kind of like, let me just let I know this can sound weird. This might sound like I'm being really, really creepy.
Right.
This is just what I sense. So I think that can happen though. We're in life and we're in a 3D world. Well, sometimes of polarities,
Hmm.
and not everyone's in the same frequency. I guess for me, what helps is I think, well, if I'm mainly vibrating in a space where I'm really trying to connecting at the heart level, like attracts like so it doesn't happen often with these incidents, but of course, human being, I've had things like that and it's super uncomfortable.
Hmm. With people I work with, it's huge. I mean, this is a sun in the 10th house lifetime for me, and sun in the 10th house lifetime for you.
Oh, tell me more. What does that actually
So it
do?
means this is a lifetime when you've come to leave a mark.
Yeah,
And so this is a lifetime when you have your sun in the 10th house. You've been building up to this lifetime for a long time.
yeah, that's for
So
sure.
you have constructed this team that you plan to work with. You want the and you want the best on your team. And I think we sign up in heaven to, connect at a certain time. And those light bulbs I love that go off, and those light bulbs, I don't mind just being real honest and being like, I meant to work with you. And sometimes it's been, famous people. Like I remember seeing on TV, oh my God, I just feel like I know this guy. And I've met them. I've met a lot of famous people, and I wasn't like in awe of their fame. And some of the famous people I met is like, they're kind of dorky, to be honest. Like, it hasn't been Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie. It's like, Weird Al Yankovic, for instance. When I was a kid, I knew I'd know Weird Al Yankovic, and literally was behind him, in a line for The Matrix in Hollywood. Like, just kept running into him over and over again. So you kind of listen to those feelings because they get affirmed, and when it comes to working, I think it's really true. I think really, like, let's speak to this moment right now, Julie. Like, I think I'm curious on your thoughts about where the earth is. Cause I really feel, even you here in this moment, I feel like there's a coming together of a generation that's here to really build the new world is what I would have said heal the world a year ago. No, I'm like, fuck it. We're going to actually build a new one. We're not going to heal that one. It's been, it's been deemed totaled. It's a write-off kind of thing, which is shocking to me because I was like, yay, but now I kind of believe in the multiple, timeline theories. What's your theory on what reality is? What's the latest and greatest in Julie Land?
Ooh, wow. Again, I keep getting the voice that's like, not all night, Julie, not all night. 'Cause we'll maybe do this again too. I have so many thoughts,
We
so many thoughts.
absolutely could.
Yeah,
Yes.
so fun. And I have to say, not now I'm like, okay, I'm going to be the creepy. Well, I'm loving this. My soul is like, we are playing in the sandbox. You talked about the sandbox earlier, and I'm like, I got the shovel and you got the bucket, and like, we're just playing with stuff.
And
Like,
I brought the hose. I'm going to flood it.
yeah, we're gonna great. We're gonna make mud pies. Like, it's so fun. It's so fun. Look, I really, for me, this is what I believe in terms of this new world. Actually, what you were saying, the building, first of all, versus healing, the building has a lot more of a empowering and it's an important energy and a distinction because we are all of the creator. We're creative. I love the reminder, the difference between knowledge is knowing something versus inspiration is that being in spirit. I just truly believe that when we tap in, we all have a connection to our guides, our higher self, we're all stream of the creator, of the one. And it's a world of polarities here. It's a heavy,
Mhm.
uh, it's been heavier, and you can see as there's so much turmoil happening because of, on the other side of it, there are so many of us that are literally waking up, that are having. I just was in a store today. I just got this crystal bracelet. It's so pretty with the amethyst. And I was like, I have to have that. I just have to have the crystal. And this woman in the store down in Baltimore was like, I had a dream that I'm cracking open. She's like, I don't know what's happening. And I've never had anything like that. And I was like, yeah, you are cracking open. I was like, yeah, no worries.
Mm.
You're talking to the right person. I know. I was like, I'm not phased at all. And I think we chose this. You said that our souls, anyone who's tuning in, I know it. If you're here, you had to have, you're like, we're in this soul family together. And I do feel that there's a real surge. So what I'm seeing and feeling is like a surge of light and energy, almost like an electricity that is amplifying. And the more of us that amplify to the, I think of like the hertz, the solfeggio tunes, right? That hertz of heart, of those high frequencies, the more of us that are doing that more regularly in ourselves and in our lives and come from forgiveness and compassion and heart, we can access realms that you can't always see, but you can feel and sense, and some of us will be able to see. It is literally calling forth a new world. We're building that, we're creating it. We have the magic wand within us. We all have this power. We're highly, highly powerful and creative beings. And I know for me, staying in my lane of that, and honestly, like staying away from the news and things without being completely my head in the sand, I do read what's happening, but I do it carefully. And I think the more of us that are saying, I really want to have a world that works for everyone, where we can live in our heart space, where intuition is cherished, where our differences are celebrated because we are supposed to all be different, because we're divine sparks that are different, each of us, of the one. I do feel that as we're seeing more of what you'd call challenge and darkness, there's an equal greater light. I mean, I'm a big believer that there's always that love power is really what is there, even in the illusion that we live in, which can seem, I'm not playing down the things that are happening that are really horrendous and challenging. And by the way, that could be like, trauma in your own life. I'm not just saying go around the world and see the wars that are happening. You could have, and this is okay. So what I'm hearing, and I'm reminded, you said this earlier too, you've got to bet on yourself, but betting on yourself, you got to love yourself. You've got to honor yourself. The war must stop in yourself. That is the work. I will tell you, every day I go into my little solo sauna. It's in my closet right over here. It looks ridiculous. It goes up to my neck. I go in there and I picture myself in a cave in the middle of the earth. I picture my animal spirits with me. It's going to sound crazy, but it isn't. And I go in there and I'm like, what part of me needs to be loved? What part of me am I still not loving or liking? And every
Hmm.
time it comes up, oh, I feel shame here. Oh, that to me, don't dismiss the things in yourself that need to be revealed to be healed. Because when you have peace and you start to feel more of that calmness in yourself, that warring stops. I've seen it, I felt it in my own life, the changes. So I do think it goes back to each of us individually, taking that,
Mhm.
as you said, that grand eye, that betting on yourself, that going within, doing that inner work, looking at the shadow, but also looking at how can I see myself through the divine's eyes? That's what I say. How can I love myself today the way God loves me, the way the goddess, divine spirit loves me? If we, each of us, and there's an asking for that. So I went off on a tangent, but I really think there is a calling forth of something that brings out the light that is in each of us, the soul self.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I feel like you've just really well packaged the stairway to heaven. Um, I believe honestly to love the literally the elevator switch is based on self-love. I literally think and I think that we're so used to no love. We raise it an inch, we stop. We raise it an inch, we stop. We raise it an inch, we stop. Like, because it's better than we've ever had before. So um in the context of the whole world, for instance, where you have these people who are opting into self-love, let's call it that. Do you believe that we're just going to evaporate into our own 5D reality and look down on people stuck in, or do you believe we're going to live side by side with people who are staying on the struggle bus? And I'm just speculating here. These are just two spiritual philosophers who are upon a great change in the earth. Place your bets, folks. You all can play at home. What do you think too in the chat?
Yeah.
Are we going to be side by side with struggle bus, or are we going to heal struggle bus, or are we just going to go off and create fantasy island?
Great question. I'm still getting like Led Zeppelin. You said Stairway to Heaven. I was like, oh
Oh
my God.
yeah, fantasy island was a total Gen X drop too. You're catching on.
Oh,
Like, I'm totally
yeah.
throwing Gen X at you.
Well, I love it. Christopher, I'm so visual and I'm like, oh my God, that dance in sixth grade where you like put your arms around the person like this and you go back.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was middle
Yeah,
school dance right there. That was the slow dance, slow dance.
dance. Stairway to Heaven was always the ending. Yeah. Okay, back to the question. So I'm laughing because again, true Sag form. I'm like, I think there's a third answer. It's
Okay, fair
both,
enough.
both
That's usually the case with me and Sages. Yep.
I'm like, it's all of it. And then there's a third. Well, no, this is just my intuition on this is I really, really in my heart of hearts believe everything is a mirror in our lives. So everything happening around me is a mirror of something going on. And I believe that for each of us. I
Mhm.
also believe that forgiveness, compassion, for everybody. This is not easy. We have some of our master teachers that have gone before us on the planet, and I believe there are those of us that are really wanting to walk in that way of love, of forgiveness. So so the image I got, I'll tell you what I saw. Right in my mind's eye, I saw these huge hands put a hug around the struggle bus. That was the image I got. That's why I'm like, huh, that's interesting. That's not what he said. But I'm seeing, embracing the struggle bus, meaning, no one left behind. That sounds very like I'm in the army, which I'm not. But there's I feel like to get that every human being is in a different space of consciousness. I had interviewed, I don't know if you know Ainsley MacLeod. He wrote the book about the different soul levels and how we're all in different soul levels. We all have had different amounts of lives here. And for me, learning to have compassion and forgiveness for everyone. And that is not easy. And I
Mhm.
mean the people that hurt you, that hurt others. Oh, there's my weirdness and I'm sorry,
Oh
it's going a
yeah,
little
there
funny
you
again.
like you're messing with the internet again.
Messing with, I don't know if it's something's happening.
That's
I
your
think
power right there. Yeah, it's not me. I'm sitting quiet.
something's happening, but struggle, but we're supposed to embrace the struggle bus. And I just saw huge arms hugging it. So to me, when I interpret that, that feels like there's a lesson in we don't leave people behind. Oh, and it just paused there. So weird. Okay. Is to
Hmm.
love and to embrace others with different views, those that have hurt us, like to really learn the lesson of we're all one and that forgiveness and love. That to me, when I go to the heart of it, I really believe in that.
I believe that that is the end game for sure. I don't. I have no doubts at that. Like I feel like I don't know. I can't speak for everyone watching, but I think a lot of us watching already are hugging the struggle bus, and they're still hitting us, or stepping on our toes, or calling us stupid. So it's like, do we sit here and we just keep hugging while they hit,
Oh,
and
I
just
got you.
wait until they calm down?
I see. I got you. So no, I'm not a fan of like, no, I'm not, and I'm definitely not saying like just take it, like stand and hug them and let them hit you. I
Yeah.
think it's a like a bless and release. You know, there's a
Ah, okay.
yeah, thank you. Glad that you no, I'm not saying like just stand there and let the bus run over you. No, because then you're not, that's not gonna work. But there
Struggle
is
bus.
a bless and release, right? Like I am going to extend because that energy, when I extend compassion, forgiveness, and even if I'm not really hugging somebody that's done something horrendous, but I say it like I'm releasing you. Like I pray and hope you find the peace you're looking for. I know that for everyone, but I'm gonna bless and release you. And to me, I just, and I have a support group background around relationships, and it's you don't change other people. I really believe that. I'm not here to change anyone. I don't believe we can change others. I think we have to be focused on what can I change in me? What is it in me? Where in me can I love, or what do I need to love and forgive first within me? Usually there's something there, usually.
I agree completely. So it sounds like you're on the. It sounds like from your point of view, we disentangle,
Yes.
karmically disentangle from those
Yes.
who do not wish to follow the same path, and so we just sort of get out of that those
Yes.
weeds and get back onto the fairway for ourselves.
That's it.
Which means that there's going to be probably separation then, some sort of separation,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is how it works. I mean, the ants are separated from dogs, like consciousness is very separate, really. The animal kingdom is its own kingdom, the plant kingdom, they interrelate, but they're not very aware of each other for the most part.
Yeah. That's a really good way. As you said, the karmic, and I think even just cut, some people might cut cords or align your chakras, ground in. I do think the pulling back your power. But the thing is, we want to pull back our power. We want to disentangle, not from fear, not from anger, not from, from a place of really just neutrality, equanimity,
Hmm.
compassion. That, I mean, that's to me, that's PhD level. That's why I wrote Get a PhD in You. I'm like, I'm gonna do this the rest of my life. I forget the PhD and other things. I just to have one in myself to be able to do that. Are you kidding? Day in, day out, I'm working on that. Truly.
I'm glad you got the telepathy. That was my next question, which is the
Yeah.
PhD. Get a PhD in you. What is that? That's obviously a book you've written, but what is your approach in that book?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I literally heard your
You heard my intuition. You heard my telepathy.
I was like, it's just fun. I think we're playing ping pong ball. Like
Yeah,
there's a
there are two conversations going on at once. Yeah.
oh, it's so awesome. I'm like sweating because it's just so fun. I don't know. I sweat when things are fun. You asked me, I'm sorry, I lost myself because I
Get a
was,
PhD in you.
yeah, what is that?
Well,
So
yeah. What is that? What for cute? Another cute title. Okay, but like,
I
good.
know
No, no. I
everyone's
actually think
looking
it's
like
adorable.
enough with the
But,
cute titles.
but I think
Yeah,
it's a great idea. I mean, that's really the I mean, you could actually say that that is the whole secret of life, right? Like that we're here
I'm
getting
gonna,
a PhD in ourselves, right?
that was the whole point. You kind of nailed it. I've actually wish I'd never thought to say it that way. Well, and especially for my left brain friends and myself, recovering left brain, where we go to school, right, to learn to learn everything. And what are we missing when we go to school is learning about ourselves. And this title came to me, it was about, I would say 15 years into the recovery work that I'd been doing in myself with addiction and in the support groups. And I remember I was in a meeting, a support meeting, and I was with a friend. I came out of it and I was just like, holy crap, I actually like feel light and I really love myself. Like I actually legit love me. Like, huh, this is amazing. And I said to her, I'm like, I feel like I just did a 15-year PhD in myself. She's like,
Mm.
that's
Ding, ding,
really,
ding. Yeah.
yeah. And I had that like things light up for me and I was like, huh, that's an interesting one. I wrote it down. And then I was getting lunch with a friend. I just started my business and I was saying, I keep hearing from spirit, you got to write a book. And I'm like, crap, I'm not even a good writer. Like, why are you asking me to
Mhm.
write a book? I could talk, but write a book. And I was talking to her and I said, I feel like, and I was telling her about my life and getting a PhD. And she's like, Julie, that's it. And I was like, what's it? And then it hit me, oh my God, that is it. That's the book. And so I actually wrote my book by hand, Christopher.
Whoa.
Because I had to psych myself out. I journal a lot. So I just got up early, lit a candle every day for 9 months. It was like birthing a freaking baby. But I'll tell you what, actually, birthing a book is a little easier. I don't have stretch marks and it did not, no kicking on the inside. It was much easier. But I wrote it by hand. I did a really funky thing where I just put bubbles on the pages and I asked to be led. And I wrote it and then I had to type it. But I just kept coming back to what has helped me to feel like I finally can love myself. And that book is really all the different practices and tools and questions and ways of looking and asking yourself questions that are going to help you to really unlock, like, who am I? That question. And then how can I honor and love that, who you are at the deepest level?
That's brilliant. So it's sort of kind of a guide to getting to know yourself. I guess it's got like some cosmopolitan quizzes in there and stuff, I'm assuming. Like,
Oh yeah, there's so many questions, activities. I mean, it has like, it's pretty, it's fun. It's got a lot of graphics and quotes and places to journal, and it's got my story, but it's really, really, it's in depth. It's not like you just read it and put it down. You definitely need to get your favorite pen and like, you know, get ready. You're going to be writing some stuff down. Yeah, not for the faint of heart.
yay. So where do we get started with you, Julie? Your website is julieresler.com, right? Reisler.com. You are offering a 7-day tool set, basically, is what it's been titled. How do people get to know you? People have loved you here in the chat. What do you recommend a first dose of Julie is?
Oh yeah, and hi everyone. I just realized I forgot. I'm
We're
like, oh,
live. This isn't a reading. Yeah.
got it. Yeah, hi everyone. Other Sages, please give a heart because you know what it's like. You just have lots to say. Yeah, so julieresler.com. I also, the podcast I have is on YouTube, which is you just look up Julie Resler on YouTube. And Christopher, you are
Yay.
definitely coming on. The minute I met you, I was like, we haven't set that up yet. You need to be on there.
We'll
So
set it up. I'd be honored.
we'll do it. I have some beautiful interviews and things there.
Yeah, you do. You've really drawn in some real talent.
Yeah,
Congratulations. You have cracked the book there. There's some great, amazing lights on there.
that is an example what you said earlier. I would, be at the film festival and I'm like, he's supposed to be on my show and we're going to be friends. And some of this has happened. It's just, and I just follow it and I try not to be like that weird one that's like, hey, um,
Right.
and sometimes not, and I just trust if not, the door's closed. All right, then that's not divinely led. But yeah, I really, it's been very healing and uplifting for me. It's been very helpful to have people like yourself, honestly, that are tapped in, tuned in, that are heart centered, that are visionary, that are connected to spirit and to this greater cosmic intelligence. As one of my favorite guests says, the divine matrix, like we're all part of that. And I will say the last thing for me, I've had a lot of mediums and people with near-death experiences and experiences like that because it helps to be reminded, for me at least, and I think for others, like we're not alone. We are so loved. we are so connected. And for me to spread that reminder and to remind myself, it's like I need to hear it every day. So yes, you can find me on my website. I also have a lot of free meditations on Insight Timer. If you go there, you just put my name, and then I'm on Instagram. Just put my name around, you'll find me. But I love people. I'm true Sag at heart. I'm Sag. I think I'm a, what is it? Ascending. Came
You
from Gemini, but
you have an
live in,
Aquarius rising. She's a Sag in the Aquarius rising and an Aries moon.
yeah, an Aries moon. Sag is
Mhm.
like I just, we love people. So if you want to connect, I already love you. Like I just do. It's how I roll. So
Yeah. No, Sagittarius are very, I'd say, especially for like kindergarten teachers, like when you're getting started, they're super kind and we're going to go over ABCs and, zip up your coat. It's cold outside. Sagittarius are fun. They make teaching fun. They're sort of like the schoolhouse rock of the zodiac. Everything has sort of like, it's sort of fun and playful and gamification. Yeah. So it's great. And everyone's saying they're going to really enjoy it. I appreciate it. I recommend, again, check out Julie's podcast, estYou podcast, or get a PhD in you at Amazon.com, or go the full 9 yards and be an intuitive life coach designer in her intuitive life coach designer coach academy. So really all levels there, beginning, proficient, and mastery. Thank you, Julie. Would you stay backstage and we'll gab a little bit? We'll do some soul gossiping afterwards. And thank you for coming on. We're so grateful to have met you tonight. Yay. Oh, and she does it. She's even got the iPhone tricks. It's the whole 9 yards.
much love. Thank you. Thank you. This was like so much fun. Such a
It's
joy.
been great. It's been a great conversation. It could go all night. Most people said they could watch all night. So you definitely have to come back.
I would love it. I'd love
We'd
it.
love to have you. Okay.
Thanks.
Good night for now. All right, friends. Ooh, that was very relaxing. Did you feel an energy shift when that happened? I'm just curious. Like when she got on camera, like there's a real energy shift between, it must be her actually. Between like my show and then when she came on his interview, it just got calmer and just kind of cruise control with a mocktail, flying at 500,000 feet. It was great. Yeah, you guys felt it for sure. Well, we all have to eat and do other things, but it is a pleasure, as always, to be of soul service here. We are just rocking and rolling. It's quite a month. The first thing I want to talk about is, I have going live the Mega Monthly Golden Address and Mega Monthly Reports. They are available on SeriousJoy.com. If you're a subscriber, and they're available at SeriousJoy.cloud. They'll be available May 1st if you want to just buy a la carte. I don't know if you ever tried one of my megas. They're really good. They're really good. I've reached that point. I'm going to own my self-worth, and I know what I'm good at. Like I'm not good at golf. I'm not good at cooking, but I'm a damn good astrologer. And I really can give you the points you need necessary to get you through the month. I get excited. I get off on helping people win the matrix, and I break it down for all 12 signs every month as part of a subscription to Serious Joy. Or if you want to a la carte, just try it. We don't have to get married. Just download one at seriousjoy.cloud and see for yourself. In fact, right now, the Golden Mega address is available on the cloud. So you can basically it's my 90-minute show where I go through all the planets for the upcoming month. And then I have an interview with one of our subscribers and we look at her chart and we hear about our golden egg project. It's all gold. So give it a try at seriousjoy.cloud. Also, if you didn't know, I've launched a new show with 3 mystical motley crew as my sidekicks. It is LOL, Leading Out Loud. It is on next Monday night live. So we love for you to start your week and end your week with us. Yep, I think it's just the best way to roll. LOL is a lot of fun. I am there with, as you can see here, Chris Reck, Tarot Master, Scott Cruz, Psychic Medium, Devin Doer, Angel, Intuitive, and myself. Streaming here on Serious Joy TV, or you can go to our LOL YouTube site as well. We're going to be talking about the headlines. There's a lot of stuff coming up. I know we're going to be talking about, for one, I know we're going to be talking about, what was it? I can't think of his name now, so I'm going blank. So maybe I'm not supposed to mention it. But we're bringing up a couple of viral videos that are going around. We're using our psychic intuition to sort of poke into some of the stuff going on. And we're going to talk about the TikTok sale. Alec Baldwin. Did you see that video where he just totally like knocked down the person? We're going to look into Alec Baldwin. We're going to look into the TikTok sale. We're going to look into a lot of stuff with our psychic powers. And we enjoy you to hang out with us. If you really want to hang out in person, come on down to Unite the Light. I'm just going to say 2024, especially if you're in Texas or if you're within driving distance. I think these are going to be, an experience of a lifetime is really what I feel. I honestly am not hyping it up. It's not the program. It's the people going. It's going to be great. We're going to have 2 days of hanging out. We're going to feel like it blew by so fast. If you want tickets, go to unitethelight.love. And if you want day-to-day support, that's what I built called seriousjoy.com. Seriousjoy.com is our daily life coaching service. We take your date of birth and we help you through the week. We have an amazing faculty. We have an amazing group of people, and we are just growing like now. This is our time. So be a part of the family. Get a daily pep talk. We have last week, like I said, the Golden Mega Monthly address is live in the service. That is that 1 hour show. You can click on, well, actually it will be live in the service. I'm not sure if yep, it's live right now in the live theater. And then next week, coming up this week on May 1st, we have a live show called Angel Intervention with Devin Doer and Heather Exposito. And this is where we basically do an angel reading on camera with Devin, and then Heather does a little astrology, and we sort of do like this sort of coffee talk reading where you learn a lot and the angels speak to us through other people. It's really great. It's going to air this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on seriousjoy.com. So we hope to see you there. And wrapping up the show, sharing is caring. The greatest thing you can do for us is just to share us with your friends and family. There's nothing like a recommendation from someone. That's the best thing. I love recommendations. Don't forget our horoscopes come out every Tuesday, so you can just share a horoscope with someone, their horoscope. You guys heard all those tonight. If you want to join us on Facebook, we have a seriousjoy.club. Come to seriousjoy.club, be a part of the club. You can advertise your spiritual business there as long as it's legit and it has a website or it has a Facebook page. So as long as it's legit, we do have the Chiron study group there as well, where you can study all sorts of esoteric things. We have a couple of really phenomenal volunteers who give free classes online. I mean, we're just giving everywhere. Or you can follow us if you want to follow me on all of our social media. Come to seriousjoy.social for our link tree. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, well, then you can follow us and listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I want to do special thanks to our producer, Noel Way, our casting director, Mara Moon, our director, Sarah Lyman, my entire teaching staff, Daiki Okamoto, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Devin Doer, Joe Zammett, Gwen English, and Heather Exposito. And that special thanks to our super friends. We're going to say thank you to Sydney and Princess Coffee Bean and Jill Louise and Margot Malia and Lori Ship and Nikki Anderson and Libran Lauren and Experimental Elemental, Michelle Camper, Michelle Bell, Erica, Cat Ryder, my soul brother, Dale Blankenship, Neptune Girl, Jamar, Christine Kelly, Sydney, Iggy, Nitu, and I'm going to add Sarah LaRock and Kenya McKinsey, who is screaming for a shout out. You got it there, Kenya. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be of service. Everyone, I am so grateful to be in your life and to be a light in your life. I do not take this lightly, the attention you bring, and I'm here to be at your service. I'll see you next week. This is going to be my birthday. I think next week is my birthday episode. Oh gosh, I'm coming with my birthday hat on next week. We'll see you next Friday. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be.
It's serious joy.